We need reparations, we need vacations, we need blue strips for all the time we spent waiting. We gon' kill for what we owe, Joe, we not playing. Mr. President, I think it's time we get paid. I watch all of my people die. Why your people try to act like we commit crime? Get killed on TV, got our kids scared to go outside. It's time you pick a side. Before we turn this bitch up, Mr. President better fall in line. Yeah, we don't need loans, we need what we owe. We need police to stop killing sisters inside their home. And when it happened and we burn this bitch down, they need to stop telling us we was wrong. Ay, and we need unity. We need the government to stop bringing drugs in our community. They better stop playing, we not the ones. You got guns and we got guns. We kill if you play with our funds. Yeah, how we supposed to restore when they won't give us more? When they got knees on our necks when we walk out the store. How we heal when they go to the park, kill a 12-year-old boy for killing, we ready for war. Yeah, and we need reparations, we need vacations, we need blue strips for all the time we spent waiting. We gon' kill for what we owe, Joe, we not playing. Mr. President, I think it's time we get paid.
Peace, greetings to you all. It's your brother Naheem, BKA Lord Abbott, aka Mr. Just the Facts. Mr. Just the Facts, family. Hey, you already know what time it is, man. Let's get some house cleaning going. Hit that like button. Hit that like button. Share the video out. Let people know that Be the Power is going live, and we're having a live discussion right now. Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the Be the Power YouTube channel. This is where it's at. This is where it's at. These brothers and sisters over here at Be the Power are we the real deal. We the real deal, man. We got a couple interviews coming out soon. Stay tuned for the one that we already conducted with the rapper Jalil from Houdini. That will be up shortly. And we're building up a powerful lineup of interviews because we want to honor our hip-hop legends. You know that thing that was started in the South Bronx, New York City. There's been some controversy over that. And some of the guests that we bring on, we're going to touch on that. We're going to definitely touch on that. So y'all make sure that y'all subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to our Patreon. Matter of fact, I gotta put the link into the Patreon. Y'all know we haven't been doing this for a little minute, so we got to get back into the flow of things because we're going to release the whole interviews during our Patreon for everybody to watch so that they could see, exactly what was being said. As we put edited versions out, more than likely, I'll talk to my team about it on the channel, especially for the sake of time, etc., etc. And we will make sure that everybody gets to see those interviews in their entirety. So shout out to BTP family. I see my sister BTP Riri is in the building. My sister BTP Shanna is on deck. The BTP mods are in the building. Shout out to the fam. Hey, make sure y'all come on over from Twitter. Y'all know I say this every live stream, and I'm gonna keep saying it. Come on over from Twitter and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Subscribe to the channel. It don't cost you nothing to do that. It don't cost you nothing at all. But we got to make sure that we are keeping our voice and us in the algorithm, man. We got to make sure that we keep doing that. So today's topic is, are we witnessing a new replacement theory? I was listening to the Hoteps today, and if you're not familiar with the Hoteps, that's a bunch of brothers and sisters who are Black conservatives, but they don't, do the Candace Owens, Larry Elder stuff. They're not with none of that nonsense. These is people that I rock with. And after I got finished listening to them, I was inspired to do this particular live stream. So, I think that there were things that were said that made me think. And now we're here doing this live stream. And is what we're witnessing a new replacement theory, right? If you look at Trump's lineage, it's German. Trump's lineage is German. If you look at Elon Musk's lineage is African from South Africa, which comprised of Dutch and English and a bunch of other different Europeans that went and colonized that area. Is this the plan all along, to replace the Anglo-Saxon, keep the Anglos so consumed with race that they can't see the play that's being made, purchasing Greenland and, well, not purchasing it, but the desire to purchase Greenland? How about, make Canada a majority white country, the 51st state of these United States? There's a lot of ways we can interpret what's going on. So, of course, I got some notes pulled up, and I want to get into that because it was in February of 2025 that President Donald Trump signed an executive order prioritizing refugee status for white South Afrikaners, claiming, and we know that this is complete BS, but claiming that they face racial discrimination and persecution in South Africa. So we watched 60 Afrikaners arrive in our country yesterday, and they came through Dulles International Airport, marking a significant shift in U.S. refugee policy, which was otherwise largely suspended for other groups. So we know that Elon Musk has been pushing the lie that the white South Afrikaners are under attack and that they're being driven out from their farm. These people came in and stole these people's land. It's the same argument that Israel makes when it is making its arguments for why they should remain occupants of Gaza, Palestine, I should say. Palestine, the land that they took under the British mandate for Palestine in 1948 that was issued by the United Nations, if my memory serves me correctly. Same type of thinking, same type of logic. And this is the era that we're in, unfortunately, right? We're in the reign of the European. And I have a lot that I could break down on that front. And I may break some of that stuff down on future shows, but we understand that these claims are BS. These claims are BS, that South Afrikaners or South African Afrikaners are being racially persecuted. The president of South Africa, I forget his name, so y'all forgive me. Y'all can put this stuff in the chat. I just wanted to jump on because I was inspired by the Twitter space that I was a part of earlier. But these Afrikaners, they claim, Elon is claiming, were or are victims of these quote unquote black oppressors in South Africa. It's interesting, right? So by that logic, we can draw parallels and juxtapose oppressive actions against, alleged oppressive actions taken against these Afrikaners and our people still suffering from police brutality, and in some instances, and probably many instances, continued economic exclusion. We can't build businesses the way newly arrived immigrants from Mexico, many whom were illegal, were able to build businesses and whole strip malls for that matter, due to the United States of America's long practice of racial oppression. These are the people that said race doesn't matter anymore. The white supremacists that are on X, the wannabe white supremacists that are on X, that are fomenting an online race war, these are the people that tell us that race should never matter. Why we talk about race? Race, it's not a thing. Why do you people always go to race? And yet Elon is making the claim that his people are being racially subjugated. And this is being echoed by the racist right. A point of note is that over 67,000 South Africans, mostly all of them white Afrikaners, have expressed interest in this U.S. refugee program since Trump's executive order was announced in February 2025. The figure was reported by the U.S. Embassy in South Africa based on a list provided by the South African Chamber of Commerce in the United States. This was reported on by the Associated Press. So what I want to do is I want to go to that executive order. Again, make sure y'all hit like on the video. We're streaming on Facebook. We're streaming on Twitter/X. And of course, we are streaming on YouTube. So make sure y'all are hitting that like button. Share this video out. And I don't know, I might drop a link in the chat. If somebody has anything that they want to share, come through. We might have opened this up for a broader discussion. So let us look at this executive order. Okay. Addressing, let me make sure y'all can see that. Y'all can't see that. Hold on. Nope. All right. Addressing egregious actions of the Republic of South Africa. Egregious actions. This is absolutely nonsense, but it is what it is. It is what it is. This is from the President of the United States, and we know this is a political scratch my back, I'll scratch yours once you understand, as my brother Logic has said repeatedly on this platform, politics is the game and government is how it's played. Or is it government? No, government is the game and politics is how it's played. Somebody correct me on that because I feel like I messed it up. One of my team members. But let me read. By the authority vested in me as president, by the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America, it is hereby ordered as follows. Section 1, purpose. In shocking disregard of its citizens' rights, the Republic of South Africa recently enacted Expropriation Act of 2024 to enable the government of South Africa to seize ethnic minority Afrikaners' agricultural property without compensation. This act follows countless government policies designed to dismantle equal opportunity in employment, education, and business, and hateful rhetoric and government actions, fueling disproportionate violence against racially disfavored landowners. In addition, South Africa has taken aggressive positions toward the United States and its allies, including accusing Israel, not Hamas, of genocide in the International Court of Justice and reinvigorating its relations with Iran to develop commercial, military, and nuclear arrangements. All of that first paragraph deserves dissection. Yes, its government is the game and politics is how it's played. Shout out to my BTP team. Shout out to my sister Reed. What's going on, sis? We're gonna have some hip-hop discussions on here as well. We all gotta clear some things up. But man, it's a lot to unpack in this opening paragraph. and I'm going to pull up something in a few when it comes to the land that was stolen from us and all of the hateful racial rhetoric that we've received. And this land has never been recovered in this country. And yet, our president has decided that he's going to speak out against the land that is allegedly being taken by the quote unquote blacks in South Africa against the quote unquote whites of South Africa who took over that region and colonized them. And now they're doing propaganda talking about the Afrikaners were in this region before the Zulus. I mean, these people are ridiculous. These are the epitome of what is said in their Bible when it says at John 8:44, ye are of your father, the devil. He was a liar from the beginning. Okay, so let me see. It says, including accusing Israel, not Hamas, of genocide. Well, what's happening over in Palestine right now is a pogrom. And Israel is in fact committing a genocide against Hamas. So the president got his wording wrong in this piece of executive action he took, right? But let's finish reading this thing. The United States cannot support the government of South Africa's commission of rights violations in its countries or its undermining United States foreign policy, which poses national security threats to our nations. I don't know how the United States of America is the world's foremost superpower. I don't see how people in South Africa that want their country back poses national security threats to our nations or the allies. I just don't. And it says our African partners and our interests. I would like to hear from the African partners to see if what is happening in South Africa actually poses a threat to other African nations. I would not, I've not looked that up, but if anybody has something that they can share to that extent, please put it in the comment section, especially the mods, or just reference it and I'll pull it up live on the air. Section 2, policy. It is the policy of the United States that as long as South Africa continues these unjust and immoral practices that harm our nation, A, the United States shall not provide aid or assistance to South Africa, and B, the United States shall promote the resettlement of Afrikaner refugees escaping government-sponsored race-based discrimination, including racially discriminatory property confiscation. See, this is rich right here. If you understand how to utilize it, to me, I mean, I think that this is useful for us. This is very useful because we can draw an actual parallel and show not only how these things have happened, but how they're still happening until this day. Let me see. 3, assistance. Section 3, assistance. All executive departments and agencies, including the United States Agency for International Development, shall, to the maximum extent allowed by law, halt foreign aid or assistance delivered or provided to South Africa, and shall promptly exercise all available authorities and discretion to halt such aid or assistance. B, the head of each agency may permit the provision of any such foreign aid or assistance that, in the discretion of the relevant agency head, is necessary or appropriate. So if there are things that are of interest in the United States of America and the head of an agency needs provisions from the United States of America while it is operating in South Africa, well, then we may let some of that money slip through. At least this is my interpretation of what I'm reading right now. Section 4, refugee resettlement and other humanitarian considerations. The Secretary of State and the Secretary of Homeland Security shall take appropriate steps consistent with law to prioritize humanitarian relief, including admission and resettlement through the United States Refugee Admissions Program for Afrikaners in South Africa who are victims of unjust racial discrimination. Such plans shall be submitted to the president through the assistant to the president and Homeland Security advisor. So the Afrikaners have taken, they've said, oh, we're going to take this deal, man. We're going to definitely take this off. And yesterday we watched 60 of them get off of an airplane to become residents of the United States of America. Those of us that voted for the administration, we weren't voting for Afrikaners to come over here. We were voting for the immigrant indigestion to be, resolved, not added on. So are we replacing the immigrants that the Democrats let in for the immigrants that those on the right went in? Interesting. Very, very interesting. But no, this is American politics. This is American politics. And we have to look at this thing for what it is. This is how power operates. See, we're so used to complaining that we can't see that. And when I say complaining, I'm talking about not taking political action. Now, we can't continue to just talk about the problem, because that's what the Roland Martins of the world and all of the talking heads on the left want to do. They want to talk about the problem. They don't want to resolve the problem. See, talking about the problem stirs emotions. And when you work or are a surrogate for the party, like a Roland Martin is, and I'm just using him as one example out of many, then your ultimate goal is to bring the other party, the other wing of white supremacy, if we're going to use that term in this sense, back into power so that we can still receive nothing. And this is what we voted against this go around. We voted against the policy of benign neglect. So let me see. Let's get into some of my other notes here. Let me see. I thought this was interesting. The processing speed. The resettlement process for Afrikaners has been unusually fast, taking about 3 months compared to the typical 18 to 24 months for other refugees before Trump's first administration. This expedited process has drawn scrutiny. And of course, it's going to draw scrutiny because it seems like you're speeding things up for people that look a certain type of way. See, to me, all of this is useful for our cause. We can't look at this thing and just get emotional. Oh, this is just white supremacy. And all of you that voted for Trump, look at what you did. Well, whether Afrikaners came over here or not, my hoods that I grew up in all across this country are still the same. They are still the same. So that's not affecting me, and that's not going to work on me, and it's not going to work on those of us who are aware. It's just not going to happen. Not going to happen. So peace to Sister Ross. She says, greetings, Freedman. The Boers should have gone to neighboring Botswana for refugees. That's a good point, right? I want to show, let me see something. I want to show you all something. I want to pull up a heat map of where German Americans are concentrated at in the United States. Let me see if I can pull this up. I just want the image. Let's pull this up, right? So the myth is that we're only 13% of the population, and therefore we are a majority. And we've deconstructed that myth right here on this platform years ago. And that talking point, because it's not necessarily a talking point because it's a fact, but I guess facts can be talking points, has in fact caught on in the grassroots space. We are between the first or second largest ethnic group in the United States of America, the American freedmen. The second largest ethnic group in the United States of America are Germans. And let's see where they are concentrated. As you can see, that cluster, that dark red cluster, shows that they are situated in the Midwest region, right? Michigan, Wisconsin, Illinois, etc., etc. And this is key. This is key because I was doing research into whites who became citizens in this country. And there are a lot of whites, Europeans, that because they became white once they got to the country in the early 1900s, that did not come to the United States of America via proper means at all. And when many of them were turned away, they were told to go to Canada. Y'all double check. Y'all know Mr. Just the Facts. Y'all double check what I'm saying here. They were told to go through Canada and you'll have more success. So we see that 40% of or more of them, these Germans specifically, German Americans, are clustered in the Midwest. When MLK went to the Midwest, he went to Illinois. He went to live in Chicago. He wanted to live in the conditions that our people were suffering through. He claimed that the hatred that he experienced up in the North was 100 times worse than the hatred that he received in the South. They held up swastikas, and you look this up, when King is met with the quote-unquote white backlash of the South, they held up swastikas. They waved the flag. Same place where we see this cluster of German Americans. So what happens now if you bring in Boers to the United States of America? See, we have an idea at Be the Power, and it was said in the space that I was listening to today. I couldn't get up on the space, but I left the comment. If you want to become a United States citizen, you should become an indentured servant for 5 years. Become an indentured servant for 5 years. Put that work in for especially these freedmen families. And then, after 5 years, we'll give you a review, and then you can become citizens in this country. And that goes for the Boers of South Africa. That goes for the Caribbean. That goes for the Nigeria, etc. It's the people from Denmark, everywhere. This country has not fixed its own people yet, particularly the American freedmen. How can we then open the door up to other people? There are, I believe that's in the state of Alabama, these Afrikaners, and they are discriminating against our people down there. Our people, they're discriminating against them. There was one video where this white guy, you tell he's racist, and he's talking about how he adopted, I believe it was a family from South Africa, these white South Africans. Oh man, they brought these people over here, and once these people got acclimated to American life, they screwed this dude all up. I loved listening to that story. This could represent a microcosm. This is why titled the stream the way that I did. This is a form of new replacement theory, something for everybody to think about. Something for everybody to think about. Is this a form of new replacement theory? No. We're just posing a question because 67,000 of those people put in applications to come over here. Let me go to some of my notes. Let me go back to some of my notes. Let me see. Okay, so the policy is seen as a humanitarian effort to protect a quote unquote persecuted white minority, with Trump's deputy chief of staff, Stephen Miller, stating that the situation in South Africa fits the quote unquote definition of why the refugee program exists. This is a lie. These people are not. Let me see. Do I have the article pulled up? These people came over here looking like they bought airplane tickets and they're about to go to Times Square and spend some money. They don't look like, let's see, where is it? They don't look like people that have been persecuted at all. Look at these people. Do these look like the persecuted to you? They look happy. They don't look beaten down and worn like we see immigrants that come over from Arab nations, Islamic nations, or even from Mexico. You know why? Because these people are not being persecuted. That's why. It's BS. And we got to think. These are the people on the right, the Stephen Millers, the Edward Blooms, that say that they don't believe in race. So can we now, as American freedmen, challenge this executive order and say that this is a violation of United States of America's policy against discrimination, a 14th Amendment violation? It's something for us to think about. For those of you that sit in the Twitter spaces and talk about immigration all day and everything is the immigrants' problem, not the white supremacists who are bringing over more white supremacists and Boers from South Africa, you should be drafting up your legal complaints right now, because this constitutes discrimination. And if it goes to the Supreme Court, well, I mean, the Supreme Court is going to have to use the strict scrutiny test. I don't know. Maybe I'm off. Maybe the immigration system works a little bit different. But the logic and the language being used here is that they're being persecuted because they're white. That's the language. That means any benefit that they receive from the United States of America is a racial benefit. Even this executive order, even them being allowed to migrate into this country. So I want to, because we can't do all the work over here at BTP, right? I would like to see these people that's so anti-immigrant, because it seems like they're more anti-Black immigrants than they are anti these people. And that's why the second part of this title is, or this stream is titled, "Is the Delineation Movement Hurting Us?" Because I'm starting to really analyze and assess this thing right now. Because the only people I've seen talking about this so far, and I don't follow everybody's spaces, is the Black conservatives. They're going at Trump for this. These are people that lean Republican. And they're going at Trump for this. I don't see the delineation movement saying anything. I haven't seen a space yet. Now, again, it's possible that I just haven't seen the space. We don't rock with a lot of people in the space because they don't rock with us. That's their choice, and it is what it is. But for the most part, I would like to see somebody take action against this. This is a racial benefit that the United States of America is giving to these Afrikaners. We didn't vote for this. Stephen Miller, of all people, you should know better, right? Stephen Miller should know better. But I guess they're going to see what they can get away with. But we know that because we study it, if we challenge it, the courts will have to apply strict scrutiny. And if you stop other refugees for coming over that may have had legitimate claims, unlike many of the Hispanics that were just coming over here to drop babies off and create chain migration, well, then you, the United States of America, have in fact engaged in racial discrimination. Something to think about. It's just something to think about, man. Let me see. Let's go into criticisms of South Africa. The Trump administration has accused South Africa's government of supporting Hamas, Iran, and anti-American policies for its genocide case against Israel at the International Court of Justice. This has fueled broader criticisms of South Africa's leadership. So, Israel is indiscriminately bombing Gaza. The Muslims over there, let's just call it what it is. It's because it's a pogrom. It's a genocide happening. They say that they're going after Hamas and they are bombing the whole region. They told the people to huddle into one place. You're going to be safe there. Then a few days later, they launched missiles in those very areas. Everybody should be critical of that. Nobody should take that as something that we should applaud just to say that it's Hamas, because then you would accuse us of supporting Hamas. And we can say unequivocally that we don't support Hamas, but we don't, and I should say we also don't support indiscriminate bombings of any people. Simple as that. It says MAGA supporters often cite high crime rates and affirmative action policies such as Black empowerment laws as evidence of systemic discrimination against whites, claiming these policies render Afrikaners unemployable or unsafe. So what the whites in the United States of America are doing with their propaganda is they are taking every last grievance that we've ever made. And I watched this stuff on the timeline. They're taking every last grievance that we've ever made and superimposing it onto South Afrikaners who literally rule that region. They control all of the resources, etc., and have been doing so for generations. This is how whiteness works. And this is why we disavow these racial terms, white and black, because nobody's white and nobody is black. As you could tell by my clearly brown skin. Nobody wants to hear that. They think we're distancing ourselves from our people when we make observational, facts known like that our skin is actually brown, not black, and that these people called us that to degrade us and call themselves white so that we can elevate them and look at them as if they're angels or gods. This is just a fact. Nobody's black and nobody's white. And nobody in the United States of America is just black, because that's another silly debate that's happening on X, that only the people in the United States of America are black, when these Europeans labeled all of our people black all over the world before this place was even a thought. Silly logic, man. Silly logic. Shout out to brother Ian. He said, who let those apartheiders into the country? I like that. It's the term I'm going to start using from now on. The apartheiders. Because that's what they are. That's exactly what they are, apartheiders. Let me see, stop sharing this. So, let me see how much, I don't know. I just got on here, man. I wasn't going to do no real deep dives. I just wanted to cut the camera on. I was inspired because I see black conservatives going at this move, and I don't see the quote-unquote delineation movement saying anything. At least I've not come across the spaces. The spaces have been about just going at other people. That's what the Twitter spaces are about. We use the Twitter spaces to teach, to educate, to expose frauds like Arthur Watkins and his fake Freedman Trust. Make sure y'all clip that. Make sure y'all clip that part right there. And the people that's working with it, that's what we use so that people won't get duped by fraudsters, because we've seen all of this stuff over and over again. And, I just wanted to throw that out there. I usually don't say relevant people's names on our live streams, but because, there's a situation going on and I want to see what the legal action look like. I'm your huckleberry. I'm your huckleberry. Let me see. Criticisms from the left. Opposition to the policy. Critics on the left argue that the policy is racially motivated and undermines the U.S.'s commitment to refugees fleeing war, famine, or genuine persecution. It's a mission, I guess you could say, that many of these immigrants that come over here are not fleeing genuine persecution. They just know that they could come to the United States of America and make that claim. And then the next thing you know, they are citizens of the United States of America. Here you are knighted. You're a knighted citizen. Okay, let's see. What else? The prioritization of white South Africans while suspending refugee admissions for others, e.g. Afghans who aided the U.S. military, is seen as emblematic of white nationalism. I don't want to read this person and her quote. I don't want to elevate none of these liberals on this platform. Liberals get as much smoke as the extreme ultra right wing on this platform. So I want people to know that our political positionality in this space is above center. Above center. Okay, the left criticizes the Trump administration for misrepresenting South Africa's land reform law, which aims to address historical inequalities where 75% of private land remains in white hands. No land has been seized under the new law, contrary to these claims. This is reported by Reuters.com and also by MotherJones.com. This is just made up bullshit. I'm on YouTube. This is made up BS. Made up BS. Point blank, period. We had to push against South African apartheid by pushing Congress to divest from both of when he ran that country and Mandela was incarcerated. Facts. We helped do that over here. Our voices in the West, and for the most part, I'll say this, in the whole quote unquote diaspora wars, the South Africans have had, and I'm not saying that they're not a part of the people who've been shooting at us, because some of them have, but since I've been on the Clubhouse and then doing the Twitter spaces and all of that, I will say that the South Africans, and I'm talking about the quote unquote blacks from South Africa, they, for the most part, were rocking with us and going against the Nigerians, especially. I don't know what beef the South Africans and the Nigerians have, but they definitely got some issues I see they've been brewing online. Let me see, what else do I have here? Broader concerns. The policy is viewed as politically motivated to punish South Africa for its foreign policy, such as its stance on Israel or ties with BRICS nations, China, Russia, etc. And we need to do a live stream on BRICS as well. Critics argue it's less about humanitarianism and more about geopolitical leverage. This was reported by PBS. So what some outlets are reporting is that the main reason why this retaliation is coming is due to the fact that South Africa and its leaders have been very vocal and loud, I should say, well, and vocal in its criticism of the pogrom that's happening over in Palestine right now. Like, we got to shut these guys up. Elon Musk did a full Sieg Heil Nazi salute, and Benjamin Netanyahu tweeted out, "Oh, that wasn't a Nazi salute by." Oh, man, have they adopted this thing? I'm confused about what's going on. You got whites in America that despise the Jews, but they support the Jews wiping out the Muslims. This is really, crazy cognitive dissonance type stuff that's happening in this country. But I think some of the whites, right, the quote unquote foundationals, the Anglo-Saxons, I think that they're starting to realize that their place in this country might be getting squeezed out. Why would you bring other people over here to do farm work, more farm work? It's not like our people have a lot of farmland. Most of our land was stolen from us. This is why I don't understand that executive order. Let me see if I could pull this up. Here we go. Put this in the chat for my peoples as well. Y'all make sure y'all click like on the video, share the video out. If you're watching on YouTube, especially, subscribe, hit that little bell icon next to the subscribe button so you could become a part of the notification nation and be informed every time Be the Power goes live. I know our numbers on YouTube are very low because we're shadow banned, but we got over 100 people watching us on X right now, and then those numbers usually go up as our streams go along. We usually get to about 300 to 400 live viewers, and I guess this was not something that I planned, so it's just spur of the moment. But anyway, how this is the Center for Health, Law, and Policy Innovation, the Harvard Law School, how the government helped white Americans steal black farmland. This is a part of our history here. Who wrote executive orders for the American freedmen? Nobody. Can we petition Trump, right? Because we have the First Amendment right to petition this government for a redress of our grievances. And the fact that our lands were stolen from us and we were not able to bequeath it to our progeny and generate generational wealth. Well, can we petition our government for a redress of our grievances? I believe that we can. I believe that we should. Again, we at Be the Power can't do all the work. Some of y'all want to like stealing ideas anyway, so you might as well go ahead and take that one. I'm giving these ones away because me and my team, we focus on other stuff. But we should be able to petition this government for a redress of our grievances. Trump just gave us the blueprint with the executive order. You gotta love him. You gotta love him. He gave us the blueprint. So either we challenge it and the courts rule the presence of these apartheiders in this country unconstitutional, order them back to South Africa immediately, using my British accent. Or, let me not do that. My own people will be on X calling me a British tether. I see, I told you. He's from Britain. This is the nonsense that we have to deal with, and I'm addressing it. This is a part of tonight's discussion. Is the delineation movement hurting us? I want to read from that executive order real quick. Let me see. Let me see. Where is it? I was trying to read the part about the land. All right, I'm speed reading. Let me keyword it while I have that up on the screen. All right, so go back up. All right, so in section 1 it reads purpose. And this, again, what I'm reading from is the executive order, not what you all see on the screen. Section 1, purpose. In shocking disregard of its citizens' rights, the Republic of South Africa recently enacted Expropriation Act 13 of 2024 to enable the government of South Africa to seize ethnic minority Afrikaners' agricultural property without compensation. This act follows countless government policies designed to dismantle equal opportunity in employment, education, and business, and hateful rhetoric and government actions fueling disproportionate violence against racially disfavored landowners. I want to read this part again. I missed this the first time. This act follows countless government policies designed to dismantle equal opportunity. So the United States is in favor of DEI. The right wing is in favor of DEI, so long as it's being practiced by the whites. Is that what I'm hearing? Is this what I'm hearing with what I'm reading? Somebody help me out here. That's what it sounds like to me. And yet we can see right on our screen that there was once a thriving Black middle class based on farm ownership, but during the 20th century, the USDA helped erase that source of wealth. So the government over in South Africa is saying, well, we want some of our land back. Now, these Afrikaners, apartheiders, still own 75% of that land. Our own government, through the USDA, through our agriculture department, help steal land from the American freedmen, to which we were never compensated. You're a quote unquote Black farmer and you want resources specifically for you? No, we can't do that. That's discrimination. Lawsuit. We have to call these double standards out. We also have to recognize and realize that these things are useful to us. Thank you, Trump. If you know what you're looking at, thank you. Because now we get to use it and we're going to use it. We are definitely going to use it. So my sister Roz asks a great question. How is white MAGA dealing with this? They are U.S. citizens first. And for the most part, many of the content creators, they love this thing, Sister Roz. I mean, they're promoting it all over the timeline, making all type of false equivalent arguments and statements. But there's other portions of MAGA, sis, they not feeling this crap at all. They are saying exactly what you said. America first. I didn't vote for this. I voted for America first. How are you now placing some emphasis on some South Africans and bringing them over to the United States of America when we were supposed to be closing the immigration spigot. Yeah. So, I mean, you know, it's just something for us to think about, man. Something for us to think about. Let me see. Is there any more of these points I want to touch on? Key points. Okay. South Africa's apartheid history and ongoing efforts to address racial inequalities are central to understanding the land reform debates. Whites own disproportionate wealth, 20 times that of blacks, and land, which fuels tension. So the same thing that white colonialism did here in the United States of America to us, even though our situation is different, because we weren't victims of colonialism in the sense that we were already on this land, as many falsely believe was just untrue, that we were already here and that, you know, part of our lineages can be traced back to this BS, and none of you can prove it. And if you can, I'll put the link in the comment section and jump on so you can prove it. And bring your best. Bring your best. And don't tell me, oh, you know, there were black people in this geographic location or on this land, or don't tell me about the Olmecs. Tell me how you are related to them. That's what I want to see. That's what I want you to prove. I want you to prove how you are related to them. And in that, you will fail every single time. But yeah, man. Yeah, Sister Roz. Yeah. Let me see. The freedmen need everything and more that the Boers are getting. And I gotta see, you know, we gotta see what that is. I want to know what that looks like. I've talked to people who from the Caribbean. I've dated women from the Caribbean. I've worked. I told y'all the story before about the women that I worked for that owned a laundromat in Brooklyn from the Caribbean. Said out of her own mouth that it seems like the American government does everything to help us blacks from the islands, while it seemed like they put roadblocks up for y'all. Seems like, why is that? I've never even considered the question before because I didn't understand fully until she said it. Like, yo, wait a minute. Jamaican restaurants all over Brooklyn. It's like, okay, so just go up to 125th Street. Them sisters own all of the braiding shops. The Africans own all of the braiding shops on 125th Street. Right? You start, because I was trying to do my thing and get into real estate and purchase the dilapidated buildings and get loans to have them fixed up and get the Section 8 vouchers, bring my people into these buildings, making sure that they get first priority, etc., etc. Oh, yeah. And I was met with roadblock after roadblock until one day, the sister, and she was from St. Lucia, she asked me, what are you doing? What you be doing when you're filling out this paperwork? And I explained it to her. It's like, it's difficult. I've had people from the islands tell me how everything was rolled out for them. So I want to know what these Boers, who don't look like us, they have the same skin tone as Trump and them, and most of MAGA, right? I want to know what benefits they're receiving, because the people voted to get rid of this and to place emphasis on United or citizens of the United States of America, not this. So, you know, we got to have the conversation. We got to be as critical on the things that need criticizing as we are supportive of things like getting rid of all of the illegal immigrants that Biden and Harris led into this country. I'm for doing away with DACA. They've been here long enough. These people have been here and they have learned political science. They have degrees in business. They pretty much know how to run a government. I think that they should go back to their own countries and run government. I really believe that. That's what I support that. I encourage that, actually, because my people, I just pulled up an article showing that my people have had our lands stolen from us, and that the government, through its Department of Agriculture, was pivotal in stealing the land from the American freedmen. First Amendment, we have the right to petition this government for redress of our grievances. Well, we got a blueprint now. Trump just signed an executive order for people that are claimed, not proven, claimed to be racially discriminated against. Well, we can prove that we've been racially discriminated against and that our lands have been taken from us. We can prove that. We can definitely prove that. So let me see. Is there any of these more of these points that I want to touch on before I move into the next leg of the discussion? All right. So, yeah, I could leave it. I could leave it here. So the next leg of this discussion is the delineation movement hurting? Let me see. Is the delineation movement hurting us? Pull this fly up on me. Had to put all these different names, as many of them as I could, in the bubble. Pull this fly up. Y'all make sure y'all are hitting like on that button. Share the video out, whether you're watching on Facebook, whether you are watching on X, or whether you are watching on YouTube. Share the video out. And make sure y'all hitting like on the video. Let's get those likes up, fam. Let's get those likes up. So this is, I keep forgetting I got to do it this way. So this is the flyer that I drafted up, right? New replacement theory. I just went through a whole hour of breaking that stuff down and highlighting what I don't see many people highlighting in these Twitter spaces. They just seem to only go at Black Caribbeans or Black Africans, not anybody else. It seems, they'll speak about Mexicans and stuff like that, but it just seems like that's where their line of focus is at. I said I got ADOS, FBA, NEGRO, and BANF in this bubble. And I put, is the delineation movement hurting us? And many may ask, why isn't Freedman in there? Well, because Freedman isn't something that was born online. That's first and foremost, and that's a fact. Freedman is the legal status that our ancestors acquired after we freed ourselves by fighting in the Civil War and helping to defeat the Southern seditionists, who should have no real power right now. The Southern portion of this government is like the longest lasting coup in the history, I think, of any nation. We've broken that down on Be the Power a lot. Ian asked, are they Christian? I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know. Mr. X says, yes, that's what you're hearing, and that's always been the case throughout. All right, but let me get into this. So I've been thinking about this lately, and it was so ironic that the brother in the space that was hosting the space today, one of the Hotep brothers, he was like, that's what he doesn't like about the delineation movement. He gave his reason. And I've been thinking about this for weeks. Me and my brothers have been talking about this. This is why we did the space on hip hop last week. These people, hip hop is a New York City thing, right? And when I say that, I mean it started in Bronxdale projects. Started in Bronxdale projects, Bronxdale housing projects with the black spades and the baby spades. And, you know, we could talk about some of the crews, the Chuck Chuck City crew. You could talk about the later Zulu Nation. But essentially, this is where this starts. It starts in Bronxdale projects. It spreads from Bronxdale to the rest of the Bronx, a lot of the different projects in the Bronx, because the spades are, as a quote unquote gang, are expanding. They formed because of the Italians and the Irish and the Polish that were, and you know, they had their own neighborhoods in the Bronx, and they would beat our people up. You couldn't even walk through these neighborhoods. We seen that depicted in the movie A Bronx Tale. Our people are just riding their bikes through the neighborhood and they get attacked by the Italians. Well, the baby spades formed to counter these attacks. And the baby spades, I mean, not the black spades, they started kicking these Italians and them asses up there in the Bronx. And then they started to absorb other areas. They started to absorb these other areas. They nicknamed themselves the Roman Empire. And we've had Brother DJ Faze on this platform, and shout out to Brother DJ Faze. You know, we've had him on twice, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know, we had him twice on Be the Power. Yeah, we had him on twice on Be the Power, matter of fact. Recently, in a couple years ago, we introduced Faze to this space. I posted the video of DJ Faze and Green Eye Genie that went viral on X. I posted that. Then everybody else found out about them, and then, you know, moves was being made to reach out to certain individuals, yada, 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 yada. Y'all fill in the blanks. Y'all fill in the blanks. And what wound up happening is the discussion got distorted. The discussion got distorted. Hip hop has elements that come from several different places. Hip hop has pillars. My sister Riri calls them pillars also, that are crucial to its formation. But when we're speaking about the music, that music comes from various sources. It doesn't just come from a bunch of James Brown breakbeats. I don't know why people think that, but it shows that their knowledge of the subject is very limited. And I know y'all are probably asking, what does this have to do with, is the delineation movement hurting us? I'm giving you all an example. So you can't post a video of, let's just say, the Jubilees, right? And I like that they, you know, sound like they rapping. Sounds like they're rapping. And then say that the people from Harlem was basically using this to create that element of hip hop, the rap part of hip hop. We are just a rapping people. You can't say, oh, the people came from the South. But they didn't bring hip hop or the elements of hip hop with them from the South. No, those people, especially those that were born in New York and those that migrated up when they were young kids. They were young kids when they migrated up. Don't tell me about Disco King Mario coming from North Carolina as if he was a grown man that had a Southern accent and then became the father of hip hop. No, that's not how it went. He was a young kid when he came to the Bronx. And the elements that he helped bring together that were existent in the Bronx, especially Bronxdale projects, is what begins this process of creating this art form that we all love, called hip hop today. Like, let's just keep it official. This is, and you know, and this is not no slight to anybody else. We have jazz I believe jazz starts in New Orleans. And my brother Ali pointed out we have had great jazz players from New York, so much so that many may believe that jazz began in New York. It's like, nah, didn't begin there. Me and my brother Logic used to debate all the time about where house music started. I used to be like, yo, bro, you bugging, man. House music ain't started in no Chicago. House music started in New York. Why? Because a lot of the house music that we grew up on in New York City was made by New Yorkers. And the one song I call the godfather of house music, Move Your Body, well, that was created by the brother from Chicago. I can't think of his name right now. That was created by a brother from Chicago. And then I seen a documentary on it. And I was like, yo, bro, he stopped arguing with me about it. He just stopped arguing with me about it. I'm like, bro, you bugging. House music was invented in New York. But when I seen something that corrected my thought process, I had to capitulate and say, damn, bro, you was right. He's out, been telling you the whole time. I was right, right? Because we thought that it started I thought, and I know a lot of people thought that house music started in New York. And it didn't. And it would be deceptive of me to keep harping on house music being started in New York when now I know for a fact that it did not. Okay, we got somebody in the chat. By the way, calling children apartheiders is rather disgusting. You don't label German children Nazis. Well, your attempt at pathos fails here, first and foremost, trying to play on our emotions. We call the children of Nazis Nazis, point blank, period. If your father and mother were Nazis, you're a Nazi. And we would call a child of a Nazi. And if he or she is from the lineage of Nazis, we would call them Nazis too. So you're wrong, first and foremost. So we don't care about what you're disgusted by at all. These people are, in fact, apartheiders. They went and colonized that area and brutalized the people there. I can pull up the history. He says, so the sins of the father is internal. So he's obviously a Christian, right? Comes from the biblical verse. I can't remember what it is, that the sins of the father shall not be passed down to the son. I know their Bible a little bit. It's a tad bit. No, that's the wrong context. Because if you perpetuate the system, if you are an American citizen that's a racist, and your great-great-grandfather was a slave owner, and your great-great-grandfather was a Klansman, and your great-grandfather was a realtor that wouldn't sell to our people, or maybe they were realtors up in Chicago that did the blockbusting scheme and the contract leasing where they was jerking us out of our money, out of our hard-earned money, or the racial housing covenants, etc., then you are the descendant of the very thing that we can say we despise and that we can call Klansmen. If you sat in the bank and denied a person a loan due to the color of their skin today, and your ancestry can be traced, but then, yeah, I'm going to call you a Klansman. Oh, this guy claims to be an atheist. Okay, well, it changes nothing. It changes nothing. So, but I'll address him some more. But when these people jump in, we got to always shift to them, because you're not going to play on our emotions. I don't give a damn if the children are going to grow up to be the people that oppress the people in South Africa. Then because it's a culture. Racism in the United States of America is a culture. You think people are just inherently racist? That they come out of the womb and they look at other people and just be like, oh, you're inferior because you're no, they have to be programmed with this thinking. Don't tell me about no children. Don't tell me about no children, because I can I can give you a rundown right now. I could give you a whole rundown. Let me see. My sister Ross says, you just want them to steal from the Black Africans at gunpoint, then be allowed to own, I'm going to say, their property. That's right. Okay, so he says so these are some of the crazy arguments that the white right, and y'all know we spell white W-I-G-H-T, the white right are making on X, right? The Dutch arrived in 1652. The original natives were Khoisan. Khoisan and white bartered for land. Oh, man. This person says, I don't care about your emotions. I'm asking questions. Well, when you say, by the way, calling children apartheiders, you are trying to play on my emotions. You're trying to play on the emotions of the people that believe like you, that probably wasn't even thinking that way until you said it. Oh, yes, he's calling children apartheiders. Apartheiders are apartheiders. KKK dressed their children in Klan outfits. There's a famous picture of a young toddler dressed in a Klan's outfit, touching the shield of a freedman, quote unquote, black police officer. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Don't, man, listen, you will get cooked over here. That's all I got to say. You'll get cooked over here. So let me get back to this delineation thing, because I think it's important for us to understand that I believe it's starting to hurt us. I forgot where I left off at, because, I was talking about why freedman wasn't on that list, because freedman is a status, right? And I know there are people that have taken a name and have created fake trusts, like this Arthur Watkins guy and the people that rock with him, and other people that have taken it and, taken a name just for the purposes of muddying it, because they believe that they can, in an attempt to try to knock us down a peg, I guess. But you're not hurting us at all. You can't. You can't. That's right, Sister Roz. They came up here trying to clean up their filthy history by saying it was bartered land. John 8:44 of their Bible says, ye are of your father, the devil. He was a liar from the beginning. And all they do is lie. That's all they do. That's the stuff that's in Trump's executive order is nothing but a bunch of lies. It's just a bunch of lies at all. Nothing but a bunch of lies. You notice I have ADOS, FBA, NEGRO, BANF. It's a bunch of other stuff that could go in there. You got a new group called Solon. Who else, man? I know I'm missing a bunch of people. Oh, now Black American, right? You have people sipping double cups. The double cup Black Americans. There's a bunch of people that could go in this bubble, because they believe that Black American is confined to our people in this country. And when we say our people, we mean the American freedmen, which is the furthest from the truth. And I will never, ever rock with that logic, because these people are doing race work while claiming that they're trying to delineate. Like, they don't even see the contradictions in their statements at all. They don't. So I'll get to this guy in a few. He's just talking nonsense. And y'all let them rock in the chat. As long as they're not saying nothing crazy or disrespectful, they can rock out and put their opinions in. My headphones keep making my hat crooked. But so I look at what one could call European solidarity. Trump's ancestors. Trump is the descendant of an Ellis Island immigrant. We assume, right? We gotta now. I want to start looking at all of this stuff because me and Ali was looking up when Europeans became citizens in this country, and a lot of them did not go through the legal means at all. A lot of them didn't go through legal means, y'all. They didn't. Now I want to know who's who. Because see, one thing you can't deny about the American freedmen is our citizenship. We've been citizens in this country from day one. The 14th Amendment did not grant us citizenship. It restored our citizenship that was being limited by Southern states that held our ancestors as chattel. That's a fact. I wrote a paper on that's touching on that. You know, some people believe that the Constitution sanctioned slavery, and I was challenged, you know, to write a paper on it. And that paper is dope, and I can't wait to submit it for review. I just got to figure that whole. Matter of fact, I got the list. We just been doing a bunch of other stuff of people, institutions to submit it to, et cetera, et cetera. And I will do that eventually. But yeah, Sister Roz, one can't eliminate race, then use race to extract people from their country. That's just hypocrisy at its worst. And this is why this should be challenged. This is exactly why this action should be challenged. The Supreme Court just had a whole ruling on this. Students for fair admissions versus Harvard and the University of North Carolina. In fact, there were several Supreme Court cases about using race to discriminate, which is exactly what this is. We gonna get to that too, because I touched on it already. I may get back to it. Yes, I could say that since I've been in this particular space, I'll say around 2018, and we started to see people going at the move. This is when everybody was up under ADOS, when they believed that ADOS, American Descendants of Slavery, represented a lineage, not two individuals' personal organization brand name, right? They fooled all of us. But nevertheless, that is the point of reference, that we were rocking with that label. As y'all know, I don't rock with nobody's acronyms or brand names. It's American Freedmen over here and American Freedmen only. I just want to clarify that. We noticed the attacks from the people from the continent in Africa. We noticed the attacks from the people from the Caribbean because they were so used to cloaking themselves in our culture while simultaneously telling us we had no culture. We watched Busta Rhymes say that we had no culture and that Jamaicans had to bring us culture and then bring us hip hop, which is a lie that has to be checked. This stuff has to be checked. Can't let stuff like that sit at all. And it was checked. The problem is that the quote unquote the delineation movement morphed into, I don't know, polymorphous, I think is a better phrase to use. It grew several different heads, all the way down to just flat out illiterates that's in Twitter spaces saying a bunch of stuff. They don't even have no idea. I mean, you got people talking about how we that push freedmen consciousness are ethnociding the other 40 million, which means they don't even know what ethnocide means. But these are the people that claim to be delineationalists. You have the pretendians that run under the moniker of Black American. Once they started to realize that this isn't your claim, if you're claiming to be an Indian, if you're a Seminole, well, the Seminoles were enslaved some of our ancestors as well. And they have Seminole freedmen. Because I see Seminole on some of these pretendians' profiles. Why are you not fighting with the Seminole freedmen to get whatever is owed to you by the Seminole Nation in the same way that the American freedmen are fighting, for our repair with the American government? It makes no sense. See, once that argument started to take root, they tried to move away from pretendianism. Now, this is a part of the delineation movement. This question is being asked. Is it hurting us? Is it hurting us? Yes. That's the answer to the question. Yes. And so what we get is, groups. I learned about a new group yesterday called The City. It's some of the people that's involved in it. And and my thing is to each his own. But the people that's involved in these groups are attacking other reparationists and have been doing so for years. So whereas you are now forced to respond, while for the most part, we see whites all over X cheering on bringing in more people that look like them. We're seeing that. You don't see Anglo-Saxons in this country beefing with people that are descendants of immigrants. You're not going to see Jethro in the South, who can trace his ancestry back to the Southerners, right? Not the Europeans that migrated over here. If you want to use the term foundational white American, well, I think that'll be an appropriate term. And I don't know. I'm just freestyling right now. But I don't see those people online talking about the Boers of South Africa or dissing them or the Nazis. I mean, they go at the Jews. The Jews have been the subject of ridicule for ages, right? And they came over here and said, hey, we're white too. Look at our skin. Let us join in with the oppression of the quote unquote Negro. Right? That's just a fact. It's just a fact. And so now they have unity. They have diasporic unity. On the flip side, we have a delineation movement. We have the Cam Howards, the Ron Daniels, right? We going through all the motions of everybody that's supposed to be in this specific circle. And they're trying to get reparations for people that wasn't harmed by the country, which means they don't even understand what reparations is. They should, in my opinion, stop fighting for it, because you can't possibly understand. And now me and Cam Howard have had several debates on and discussions on the subject. He claims to know what reparations is, but I've seen a video with a woman that is down with that hashtag group that I mentioned earlier, ADOS, talking with these people. And she was telling her that the colors of Juneteenth is red, white, and blue. The colors of America, not red, black, and green. And the woman, this Pan-African woman, I can't remember who she was, because she was sitting right next to Cam Howard, responded that she wanted no affiliation with anybody that would fly the colors of this country. I'm paraphrasing, but this is what she said, that she would not want to join up with that type of person. So we have all of these different problems when it comes to us and our repair. And because of such, we're fractured. Everybody wants to be the big I. I'll be hearing some of these people talk in these Twitter spaces. I'll be like, what are they talking about? What are they saying? This don't make no sense. None, zero. And they just babble and yap and babble and yap and yap and yap and yap. And meanwhile, the tech bros, bunch of white boys, they do Twitter spaces, 4,000 or 5,000 people in those spaces. You know what happened when one of us tried to launch and Nick Cannon? These white boys got in there. They did something. I don't know all of the jargon and all of that stuff, but they did something. And they were able to make some type of run, make money off of what Nick Cannon launched, drain it, and get up out of there, and left Nick Cannon holding the bag and having to explain to all of the people that was a part of his launch. I can't remember if it was a coin, an NFT. I can't remember. Right? Somebody translate what this guy putting in the chat right now. I don't know if that's Afrikaans he's putting in, but somebody translate that and put that in the chat and see what he's saying. But we have all of these different elements, all of these fractured elements, all of them. And for the most part, it makes no sense. It makes no sense to me. We can't, I got a saying that we can't ball up a fist to save our lives. It's like our hands our hand just won't do this. It has to stay this way. And so long as it stays that way, well, them people, right? Because they're the ones that's pushing the racial narratives right now. The right wingers are. That's why you start to see the term woke right. Shout out to Brother Hotep Jesus. Start to see this term woke right. Because they're doing everything that the left did. It's all cancel culture. It's all about race. An incident happened with two young kids, Carmelo Anthony and Austin Metcalf, and immediately the devils on the X app made it about race. The father went on Fox News and said, this was not about race. I wish you people would stop saying that. They went and had a rally in the hometown. The father got on the phone with him and cursed them out pretty much. It is the right. Let me go to this guy's comment. Let me see. Look at what this guy said in the chat. Sad reality is that we see color. We are all humans at the end of the day. No one has a pure history or lineage. When you see color, you forget merit. That's funny. And humanity as a whole. Dehumanizing people is sad. Yeah, whites don't get by on merit in this country. They just needed to know who they knew. They took over whole governments. They took those of our people that built their own cities and towns and businesses on their own merit, burned them, raised them, flooded whole towns underwater that were black owned, American freedmen owned. What are you talking about? Those people saw color. You think Charlie Kirk doesn't see color? What about mediocre Matt Walsh? You think he doesn't see color? These are the people that are driving the racism on the X app. Clown world, meme world of memes, or whatever the hell it's called. These are the people that are driving all of the racism. Don't tell me about color. Go talk to your peoples. Go talk to your peoples. Step aside, ain't your business. American freedman proverb. Exactly. Exactly. This delineation movement is starting to grow problematic because it has so many different elements that's infused in it. If somebody's telling you that we also have ancestry that's Native American, these are the battles that I've been doing with these people on the space. They're lying to you because they can't prove that they have Native American ancestry, not that they don't have. And I want to be clear what I mean when I say that. You could have Native American ancestry in your bloodline. It's called admixture. Native Americans married some of our people. Some of our people married Native Americans. This is a fact. So I want to be clear with what's being said. But those Native Americans didn't look like us, those indigenous folk. So when they're making the claims that black people was already here, prove it. Well, prove that you descend. That's why I ask the same question all the time. Name the ancestor. Name your oldest ancestor that existed on this land prior to contact with the pale-skinned Europeans. Name them. And not one of them have. People start talking all of this other stuff and making up stuff. And then when you look up the people that they're not quote unquote black people. And the stuff becomes problematic because now there's this anti-African sentiment. And we discussed this on the last live stream where we were breaking down the movie Sinners. And people was mad that Coogler included African references. As if we didn't bring that drum with us over here. As if we didn't bring that kora, which becomes the banjo, which becomes the guitar over here with us. Why wouldn't he incorporate those elements? It's a part of how we built the music. The word juke and juke joint is said to come from a Wolof word, which means unsavory. Y'all look it up. What are you talking about? Like many of the mannerisms, they're distinctly African from various African tribes. The delineation movement is seeking to separate themselves from their distant ancestry. And then they make frivolous claims like, show me the African in your ancestry, knowing that most people can, they can trace their ancestry back to some slave labor camp in this country. But a lot of people, and this is what they hired a specialist for, they can't trace themselves back to which ship their ancestor got off. So if the people that's doing genealogy work in the delineation space, are you bypassing that part of the genealogical research when you're claiming to be assisting these people? Because I don't hear about it. I don't hear about it at all. The same people are making the same claims, and none of them are proving any of it. And that's why I brought up the hip-hop reference earlier. People are saying hip-hop started in the South. I got people saying hip-hop started in California. I mean, where does it end? Because the Africans are saying hip-hop started in Africa. They're saying without the drums and the elements that created the guitar and the rhythms, like the ham bone, right? What is the ham bone? Doing beats on your chest. This is something that we did during our enslavement in this country. And when we got out, when we were emancipated, I should say. Ham bone. What are these people talking about, man? Y'all just making up stuff that you can't back up. And you hate us because we the truth. And we keep putting it in your face. And you want to be down with the crowd of people that are wrong, that's driving us in the opposite direction. Y'all are not driving us toward any political power, the delineation movement. Let's be real. Y'all are not driving us toward political power. If you want to see how that looks, look at the people on the screen right now. They are united by this fictitious construct called whiteness. We are divided by the fictitious construct called blackness. You say, well, how could you say that, Naheem? Well, you have people, like I said earlier, all over the app telling Black Brits, Black Haitians, Black Jamaicans, etc., that they are not Black people, that only Black Americans are Black. This fictitious label that the pale-skinned nations of Europe gave to our people. And they can't prove it. We debunked them every single time. They just went and called us the enemy, or they called us undercover tethers. What else, man? They're just, they're gonna keep doing it, because for them it's about building clout, because we live in a clout culture. Fabulous released some tracks some years ago, Friday Night Freestyles, and on one of the tracks he says, money ain't the root of all evil no more, attention is. And that's what we got. We got attention whores on X that's supposed to be delineationalists, if that's a word. And the only thing they're driving is consternation and beefs and fighting and arguing. Nothing that's politically sound at all, just divisiveness. Prove it. Prove it even further, Naheem. Within the reparationist space, among the people that are delineating, you have ADOS, FBA, NEGRO, BANF, which is the weirdest out of all of them, Black American Negro Freedmen. So we just going to add all of them under the guise that we don't want to get rid of any one of them because it's going to erase our history. This is the nonsensical logic that's being applied in the delineation movement. There was a time when our people didn't want to use the term Negro, and they held conferences about this stuff. Before that, they despised being called Black people. None of our history was erased. Out of that conference in the 70s in Gary, Indiana, the term Afro-American was agreed upon. And that morphed into African American to be an ethnic identifier for our people. These are facts. Look it up. Y'all know my nickname, Mr. Just the Facts. Mr. Just the Facts. And what we have now is people that's just all over the place. They're not trying to unify. They're not trying to do anything worth anything. They're in competition with other groups, and they want to get in front of other groups. You got weirdos sending letters to reparations task forces telling them that their fictitious trust, some Freedman trust, they're taking a name and sullying it, is the sole, I guess, arbiter of reparations and any funds that comes from it, and that any funds that's given should go to this fictitious trust. We've got people, our people, that are on task forces in this country that got to get up and say, we have no affiliation with this foolishness, and it has nothing to do with United Sons and Daughters of Freedmen. This is the stuff that we're dealing with. This is the stuff that we're dealing with. This is the delineation movement. And I want somebody to prove me wrong. That's all I want somebody to do. You know, people could take their little shots all day, and I could take mine. The thing is, are you willing to face me? Because I could drop a link, and we could come on this channel, especially anybody that's in that circle, and we could have the discussion. We could set it up for tomorrow night if you like. Prove to me that the delineation movement is not hurting us. Prove it. I was made aware of a space today where the people of the so-called delineation movement, the Negro version of the delineation movement, these are the people that claim that Negro comes from Negro land in Africa, and that when we were brought over here, we brought the name Negro with us. And this is why you got the Negro League, the United Negro College Fund, and anything that got You can't make this stuff up, man. But apparently somebody did. Apparently somebody made this stuff up, and people just start running with this stuff. This is the delineation movement. It is so delineated that look at the bubble. They have delineated among themselves. So, yep, the delineation movement is hurting us. Can't get nothing done. You had a hearing, an open hearing in the state of California. Man, I should find that video because I know it's on my Twitter. Well, I ain't going to play the video. This guy, a pretendian, and when I say pretendian, I mean somebody that's pretending to be an Indian, pretending that they're indigenous to this land. This guy went to California's open reparations task force hearing where residents of California, we got Brother Josh in the building, where residents of California are supposed to give their testimonies and recommendations on why they deserve what's owed to them in that state due to the years of whatever it was, whether it was housing, economic exclusion via financial institutions, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. One of the guys from off the app, I think this clown was from Texas. I can't remember where he was from. Went up there with like ladies' jeggings on and stood at that microphone and talked about me and Brother Marcel. Like he thought he was in the Twitter space. Yeah, Josh, this is the delineation movement.
Oh, man.
This is what you got to say about that, bro?
Yeah. We were talking about that earlier. Man, I just thought that was so hilarious. It's a mess. It's a mess, man. It's a mess. It's just, and I think it's what happens when, you take something where the message is very, very well thought out. It's very well purposed, and it gets watered down and it gets passed around, and everybody latches on, or they see something moving, they see the energy, and they want to be a part of it. They want to add their energy, but they don't want to understand the foundations of it. They don't want to understand they don't want to take the crash course on the background of why we're doing this, what they should do, how they should make a contribution. And they say, well, I want to just do my own thing. No, it's a reason behind a lot of what we are doing and why we've been pushing this thing. If you take the time and listen to what we say and absorb the information, and I mean, I don't want to say fall in line, but damn, at least understand, you don't have to copy or repeat our lingo or repeat our talking points word for word. If you want, go study and read and bring something else to the table, as a lot of other people that have done to this movement. But I'm talking about things that are actually useful, constructive, and don't really veer way off from the point. It's like you have to say the same thing in 1,000 different ways. There's many, many life experiences and stories that can just serve as examples and lessons to help, bolster what we're pushing. But instead, people, it seems like they have said, hey, I want to find my carver. I want to find my lane here. And I want to take this and use this energy and to push what I believe in, not necessarily what is best for the group, but what I am emotionally invested in, my ideology, instead of trying to move us closer to what we're in this for, which is repair of justice, economic inclusion, becoming full citizens, repairing the damage that was done to us over the course of generations, and all of that. Yeah, a lot of this stuff is just unnecessary trash that has been added, and yeah, it's just trash, man. A lot of the stuff is trash.
Hey, Josh, I watched the sister that I've known for a couple years. It's crazy. I met all of these weirdos on Clubhouse, man. Like everybody, because you got to remember, man, we start really jumping on this thing in 2018. 2019, we start to really get a little more interested in it. I'll go back and check my timeline. I think 2018.
Yeah, it was 2018.
Yeah, and then 2019, we started really getting more into it. And then 2020, when COVID hit, we finally launched Be the Power.
That's
and
right.
We were going to launch it anyway because I had got fired. And so I had to beat up this white dude at my job, man. This dude thought he was like, what's the dude name from Candyland? Monsieur Candy. I had to tell this dude. I told him that. I was like, yo, man, this is not the Candyland Ranch. You ain't Mr. Candy and my name ain't Jingle. Watch how you talk to me, man. You could talk to the rest of these people in here like that, and they might be scared of you. And then I pointed to his face. Watch how you talk to me, man. Straight up. And that just led to to me being fired after 3 years. But nah, I was new on the shift, and it just seemed like dude just got on. We was cool at first. Then I guess he figured, like, all right, man, this dude was an alpha walking around here. Let me try to humble him. It's like, nah, man, you got the wrong one over here. Straight up. It's like we could drive up the road 5 minutes and we could just tell the people we got into an accident and come back to work if you want to. They was like, don't say that, New York. They called me New York. New York, do not say that to him, New York. I was like, I'm just saying, this dude seemed like he want to test my knuckle game or something. I don't know what's going on. But anyway.
So, Brother Naheem, could you recap for the new people that just logging on?
Definitely. I'm gonna finish saying what I was saying real quick about this person that I met, that I met from Clubhouse. And I noticed that this person was like rocking with, because it's to speak to the point that you were making. And this person is now rocking with this Arthur Watkins guy, who's a fraud, a straight up and down scam artist who apparently is trying to revive his pillow business, which, because when you go on the so-called Freedman Nation website, you see his pillow business there. Why would that be there? Anyway, and I'm like, yo, I had to think, out of all the stuff that we've done as United Sons and Daughters of Freedmen, this person never came over and rocked out with her. There's a lot of people like that, bro. We've supported everybody. We support, when our people that we were, Sister Roz is in the chat right now, they made the front of the Washington Post for the work that they're putting in the DMV. We made sure we threw that up on the screen here on Be the Power to celebrate it and promote it, to let it be known that the workers are working. And at any given moment, we can collaborate on anything. But there's certain other individuals, Josh, that claim to be about this work, like this. I ain't gonna call her name, but she is rocking with this fraud. And then I got to thinking, like, damn, everybody that came up with anything, it was a people group. What was it? I think they was calling themselves people. Every iteration of this nonsense in this delineation movement, this person was also a part of. They never come rock out with us, knowing for a fact that what we're presenting is right and exact. And this is the problem with the movement. And I had to add that to camelback off of what you were saying and give an example. Because people they'll take it and then bastardize it. And some will take it and bastardize it for the purposes of mucking it up, which is what I believe we're getting with this Arthur Watkins guy. And I'm intentionally calling his name. Intentionally. No, we don't mention those irrelevant people on our platform, but he's going to get some special consideration tonight. Recap.
Shout out to Freedman Pillows. So Freedman Pillows.
Yeah. Y'all get them Freedman pillows, man. Help that brother out. His pillow business is dying.
So he don't have to scheme and scam in other ways. Let him get his money with pillows, man. Let's buy some pillows.
Get his money. I hope that man get his money, man, so he can stop scamming with these trusts and all of this nonsense that he got going on. Whoever getting a piece of that fleece, man, y'all gonna get this work too. Y'all, I don't care how cool we were, because we never really was cool like that anyway. Y'all gonna get this work too. That's a fact. But recap. I wanted to touch on new replacement theory. I was inspired to do this stream by the Hoteps. Shout out to the Hoteps on X, man. My brother Hotep Jesus. There's a bunch of Hoteps. I can't remember all of their names. Strong Dad is one of them. President Hotep Dubes is another one.
I don't get that, man.
Hotep Goldstein. These dudes is hilarious, but I rock with them. And my sister
is
Sunny,
it like YN or is it like
no
Lil or something like that? Everybody just put a Hotep in front of their name?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Hotep Jesus is the most famous of the Hoteps. That's my bro, man. And my sister Sunny, she's a Hotep as well. She's definitely a resident of Hotepistan. So I want to give a shout out to the Hotep. And that's what they call it, Hotepistan. So I have dual citizenship in Hotepistan. You know, I got a pass. I could go through Hotepistan.
You're gonna have to break that down to me later, because I don't.
Okay.
I know.
No, I mean, it's just, so what it is a bunch of brothers that took, because remember, Hotep was a term that divestors was using. You know, people always talk about Kevin Samuels and the Manosphere and all of that, but what that was a response to the divestor movement online. So they started using the term Hotep and Dusties and all of these different names.
Like conscious people that's not
right.
rich.
That's right. And so, you know, these brothers took it and was like, you know, just like the N-word, we're going to wear it as a badge of honor, point blank, period. And, you know, they are conservative for the most part. No, not for the most part. They're absolutely 100% conservative, but they Black conservatives, and their Black conservatism doesn't look like Candace Owens and Larry Elder and the rest of those tap dancing buffoons that we see seeking all types of attention on air and online, etc. And so they was hosting the space, and it was so funny because the host was speaking about he brought up the delineation movement, and I smirked because I have been thinking about that. It's been a topic of our conversation, as you already know. I was thinking about that, Ross, doing a podcast breaking down how that trust fund is a great. I wanted to do it yesterday. But I was thinking about that, brother Josh. And we've been talking about this so-called delineation movement and how it's becoming harmful. It's really driving the good people away. And one of the things they said was that, you know, we agree with is that immigrants, especially illegal immigrants or anybody that migrates to America, should become servants. I propose 5-year servitude to earn your citizenship. You know, it's my personal proposal, but
I mean, hey, you know, people might think that sounds crazy or whatever, but it's already going on. It's going on through the H-1B visa system. So it's not saying, hey, you know, you don't get paid or whatever. What we saying is we need that to serve the people and not just serve large corporations and scammers. Because a
That's
lot of
right.
times what happens is these people get employed through Apple, Google, Microsoft, whoever, these Meta and these companies, or they get employed through you know, government contractors who are avoiding
Mm-hmm.
hiring American citizens. And most, and matter of fact, I mean, I broke this down many times on this platform where Apple actually got the largest. They had to pay the largest fine in history of the United States. I think it was like 25 million or something they had to pay for violating the Constitution, the 14th Amendment, discrimination based on nationality, where they were discriminating against American citizens by not having a fair hiring process. So essentially, what they would do was, if you were going to get on the H-1B visa program, you could fill out an application online. But if you were an American citizen, or not even a citizen, a permanent resident in America already, which means you don't need to be on an H-1B visa program where they can just control you, where you need them. In other words, you cannot be in the country without that visa. That's just a work visa. Um, if you were permanent resident or American citizen, you had to actually fill out a paper resume and go through snail mail and have correspondence about your job through letters in the mail. Even if you were an existing Apple employee, if you wanted to go after that job and you already worked for Apple, you still had to fill out the snail mail because they were. So the
Crazy.
government said, "Nah, that's what y'all doing is too blatantly dirty. You blatantly discriminating against citizens, and y'all got to pay millions of dollars in fines because we talking about like thousands and thousands and thousands of people who were victims of that discrimination. You know." And so, what you're saying is there should be a system like indentured servitude,
Mm-hmm.
and I kind of look at, and I'm not the only one, but a lot of people look at the H-1B visa program as a form of indentured servitude. It's just that most of the time when you think of indentured servitude, people want to include it to involuntary servitude, which is slavery, which is not the case. And that's why even like when we talk about the historical reference of the institution of slavery, and then you got people coming over, like maybe some Irish people or whoever, some European immigrants, said, well, my people came over here as indentured servants too. Yeah, well, a lot you cannot equate the two, because
That's
one
right.
was a voluntary system, one was an involuntary system, you know, and one was a contract, the other one was you belong to me.
That's right. Your
Your children
skin,
that belong to me
your
and their
skin
children.
tone, your
Right.
skin tone means that this is your place, your label as Neo. And that's another live stream I want to do. I wanted us to break down Theodore W. Allen's book, The Invention of the White Race. It's
Man,
perfect time for that. I've been talking about doing that one for years, and now it is the perfect time to do that stream. The invention.
especially like it's not like daily political, a
Mhm.
presidential race or anything like that. We gotta always be covering. We got time to like slow this thing down and help build people up on these books.
Mhm. That's right.
But,
That's right.
but yeah, but real quick, if you don't mind running down that South African thing for all the new people jumping on.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Hey, man, we got 170 live viewers on Twitter/X right now. Come on over to the YouTube channel. Click like on the video. Subscribe to the channel. I know X is turning into the new platform. X is becoming like the Walmart of social media right now, rendering YouTube useless. And I don't know how to monetize. Well, I do. I think I do know how to monetize on X. Our organization, our platform needs those contributions. Send your contribution to $ BETHEPOWER. It's pinned at the very top of the comment section the link to the direct cash app, $ be the power. You can use that super chat feature as well. Support the platform. Support the platform, man. If you get 5 super chats, we're gonna start extending it. That's gonna be the goal every night. We get 5 super chats, we're gonna extend it. Even, so when Josh jumps on, it'll just be like we're starting fresh and new. It's like we started fresh and new. So let me see. Overview of tonight's discussion. I spoke about the 60 people, the Afrikaners that were brought into the United States of America by the executive actions of the President of the United States of America under the false
President
premise.
Elon Musk.
Well, some say that under the false premise that these people are being persecuted, that these people are facing racial discrimination. Matter of fact, while Josh is on, we've been on for 2 hours now, so I ain't going to stay on too much longer. But while Josh is on, what I'm going to do is I'm going to read from the executive order. This is addressing egregious actions of the Republic of South Africa. This is a Trump, bigly thing that he's doing right now, right? My man Trump. I like Trump. I would love to. I would go sit down and chop it up, but I voted for Trump. I was just going to be transparent for everybody that's watching. I know Josh, and that's another thing I want people to understand. Everybody on BTP and United Sons and Daughters of Freemen did not vote the same. I voted for Donald Trump. I got my reasons for voting for Donald Trump, and this is a part of it right here. I love it because you just helped give us a blueprint. I broke that down earlier, Josh, and I want to get into some of this right now. Section 1, purpose. In shocking disregard of its citizens' rights, the Republic of South Africa recently enacted Expropriation Act 13 of 2024 to enable the government of South Africa to seize ethnic minority Afrikaners' agricultural property without compensation. This act follows countless government policies designed to dismantle equal opportunity in employment, education, and business, and hateful rhetoric and government actions, fueling disproportionate violence against racially disfavored landowners. Did you catch that, though, Josh? It says this act follows countless government policies designed to dismantle equal opportunity in employment, education. That sounds like DEI. It sounds like Trump is saying y'all are messing with the DEI of white South Afrikaners, apartheiders over in South Africa. That's what it sounds like to me. But I'll digress. In addition, South Africa has taken aggressive positions toward the United States and its allies, including accusing Israel, not Hamas, of genocide in the International Court of Justice and reinvigorating its relations with Iran to develop commercial, military, and nuclear arrangements. I touched on that whole part. Like, you can't say nothing about the pogrom that's happening over in Palestine. Because only Hamas and the Israelis are wiping out those people over there under the guise that Hamas was hiding here. So you telling me you just bombed the whole village of people because you believe 2 people from Hamas were there? That's what you're telling me?
They make it seem like there's people on one side of town and they living good with white picket fences, and other people on the other side of town, they living good with white picket fences. And you hit me, so I hit you back.
Yep.
No, it's people living in rubble and dirt, and they got babies that's been bombed, and they digging out of piles of destroyed buildings. And the other side is like largely untouched. Come
That's
on,
right.
man. And they block supplies, they block food, they block, anything. Like these
That's
people are
right.
just stuck over there in them, and then you try to act like these things are the same. They're not. You got it's, and you were talking about government action, and I'm not to pile on because I know you touched on it. You talking about government action, and it's not like Palestinians have their own government. It's not like they have their own military. There may be some groups that are active in fighting back against the Israel. And I mean, I don't back any groups, quote unquote terrorist groups, but considering what all those people been through, I mean, I can understand how those type of groups would form. But yeah, it's crazy how they try to make it like it's you hit me
Yeah,
and I hit you back. We both on at the same level. No,
yeah.
you got one bottom oppressed group
And
and one
land
big
that they
bulky
took.
dude. Right,
Look,
right.
and so you see the parallel between the Afrikaners who took over the land of the people in South Africa and why they could draw a correlation with Israel and support what Israel is doing. Right? Okay, so it says the United States cannot support the government of South Africa's commission of rights violations in its country or its undermining United States foreign policy. What undermining United States? Anyway, which poses national security threats. What national security threats do South Africans pose? Like that has to, maybe I'm not privy to the briefs that the president gets, and none of us are. But I want to see how South Africa taking back its land from those people pose a threat to the national security of the United States of America. That's cap. That's cap. That's BS. Section 2, policy. It is the policy of the United States that as long as South Africa continues these unjust and immoral practices that harm our nation, A, the United States shall not provide aid or assistance to South Africa, and B, the United States shall promote the resettlement of Afrikaner refugees escaping government-sponsored race-based discrimination, including racially discriminatory property confiscation. Josh, this sounds like a strict scrutiny issue to me, brother.
Mm.
I was breaking this down earlier. This sounds like a challenge needs to be had because you brought these people over here based on their race. This is what is said in your executive order. You claim that these people are being these people are not even United States citizens, while United States citizens are being racially discriminated against. And
No,
have
but
been.
no, brother, but it's not because of their races. It's because of their status as a group that's been they're a class of people that's been targeted and harmed. So it's not based on their race. But see, when we make that type of argument, they don't understand it. They don't get it. When we say hey, it's not because of our race. It's because we are a specific group of people that's been targeted and been harmed. Yeah, yeah. Now, we may be of the quote unquote black race. Like, shut up, you Negroes, and this is race based harms. Matter of fact, we don't care what y'all say. Strict scrutiny. But when they do it, now it's like, oh, okay, we get it, we get it.
How that
You're
song go, Josh?
Afrikaners, and you're huh?
How that song go? It's okay when they do it. There's a problem when we do it. That rap joint, I think the brothers from Mississippi or Tennessee. It's okay when they do it. It's a problem when we do it.
Hmm.
We can't do it. We can't get reparations, they say, because they claim that it is racially discriminatory, bro. This is what they say. And this is why we've found a way around that. And people are trying to find a way around us. But just to be brief, let me stop sharing that because I don't need to really read the rest of that. I wanted to pose the
Hold on,
question to
please get to assistance. What does it say?
Oh, that was, let me see. So it was talking about cutting off the assistance, but so let's read it. All executive departments and agencies, including the United States Agency for International Development, shall, to the maximum extent allowed
USAID.
by law, that's right, halt foreign. You know what's crazy? I didn't even peep that was USAID when I first read it. So thank you. Halt foreign aid or assistance delivered or provided to South Africa, and shall promptly exercise all available authorities and discretion to halt such aid or assistance. B, the head of each agency may permit the provision of any such foreign aid or assistance that, in the discretion of the relevant agency head, is necessary or appropriate. I took that to mean, Brother Josh, that if the South...
Help them Afrikaners out. Give them the money.
That's right. That give them the money. That's how I took that. That's how I took that. So, yeah, man.
Did you break down who the Afrikaners are?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, no. I didn't break it down.
Did you break down the Elon Musk gizmo?
I did earlier on.
Can I break something down real quick?
Yeah, go ahead. Sure.
And I don't have my screen share up because I think I talked about this before. Who is Elon Musk? And why in the world? When has the United States ever got into South African business other than, when we put a lot of pressure to Freeman in using our position and our voice in America and our position in United States Congress, Black Caucus members, etc. When we were pushing to help end the apartheid, right? Why when I haven't seen where the U.S. has dabbled in, advocating for the best interests of white South Africans. I can't remember seeing that. And maybe somebody's been around longer and you've seen it, but that's absurd. That's absurd because the terrible part is there wasn't a whole lot. It wasn't but several of the freedmen, and like I said, in Congress and around the country, that would rally in support of those that were the victims of the apartheid system. It wasn't the same type of government action to, sanction South Africa or sanction those Afrikaners for their role in that. Not only that, similar oppression. I mean, come on, man. America is the pot calling the kettle black. But I want to break down real quick who is Elon Musk and how it's not just Elon Musk, right? It's not just Elon Musk. Elon Musk is the one that we know, but most people, they don't know Peter Thiel. Now, Elon Musk, his family is not even from originally South Africa, obviously. Most, and when I say that, obviously we know it's European, but Elon Musk, part of one side of his family is coming from Canada. I think it's like his mom's side of the family is coming from Canada, and his mom's dad was actually a member of the Nazi Party and a Nazi supporter in Canada during the time of the Second World War. They actually left Canada and joined and went and immigrated to South Africa because they liked the apartheid system that South Africa set up. Now, South Africa, if you understand when the apartheid system was set up, it was about 1947. So during that time, you got to understand that Southwest Africa used to be a German colony. That's like right around that area of what's it called today? Like a not Zimbabwe, but right around basically Southwest Africa, essentially South Africa and that generalized area. It was a lot of Germans there because during the we know the Berlin Conference, Berlin, Germany, Berlin Conference of the 1880s. I think it was 1884, 1885. That's where the European nations came together and they split up the African continent into colonies to avoid going to war over, different territories over there. Eventually, they did go to war. That was World War One. At the end of World War One, Germany, who was a loser of the war, they had to pay reparations, but they also had to give up their colonial strongholds. But many of those people still stayed down there. And then once World War II broke out, Hitler kind of like he attacked, and this stuff. It was Germans were mobilized, but there's still plenty of Germans down that area. So one of the so it was easy. It was a natural thing once World War II ended, and a lot of people were fleeing, et cetera, et cetera. It was a natural thing for them to take the Nazi ideology and move that into Southwest Africa, and what eventually became South Africa. And you get people like Peter Thiel. Now, Peter Thiel's his family they're Germans, and he grew up in that area in Southwest Africa. And I think it was Namibia, what was like Namibia, what would be Namibia today. But he actually, and I'll tell you who Peter Thiel is in a second, but he actually went to a high school where they were still saying Heil Hitler instead of like, how we say the Pledge of Allegiance. They would say something, and they would say how they would just have a Nazi, basically Pledge of Allegiance in their high school. And this was all the way up into like the late 1970s or early 80s. They've been doing this, right? When he was in that school. Fast forward, who is Peter Thiel? Peter Thiel is a former business partner of Elon Musk. They founded PayPal. Basically, Elon Musk had an online bank, and Peter Thiel had the other side of it, and they merged their companies together. And they knew each other before then because they were, classmates. They both went to Stanford University. They both come from, South Africa, and because Peter Thiel's family eventually moved to South Africa, so they knew each other then, and they went to Stanford University. And there were a couple other guys that are members of that crew. Peter Thiel's mentee is actually J.D. Vance, and he's been a big time Republican donor. So you got like these people who are heavily entrenched in the political operations, in the political system, and their interests get carried out. So if you're trying to figure out how in the world is America doing this, it's not just Elon Musk. It's Elon Musk and Peter Thiel. And now Elon Musk funded the president, Peter Thiel mentored the vice president, and now you got basically apartheid South Africans running the government because, if you didn't know, Elon Musk paid
Breaking
Trump.
up, bro.
Okay, if you didn't know, sorry if I'm breaking up, but if you didn't know, Elon Musk donated over $300 million to the Trump campaign and promised another $100 million to the political operation just a couple of months ago. Peter Thiel also was like I said, is a huge donor. So these people have their fingerprints all over the this system, and it's no wonder why their agenda is getting carried out. And nobody over here has been asking for none of that. But this is what you see. So,
Yo,
go ahead.
let me play this video. That excellent breakdown too, because they were talking about him in the space today. The whole text was talking about Peter Thiel as well. But I want to share this real quick. Peep this. Let's bring this back from the beginning. And I can see we got 181 people watching on X. Why don't y'all just come on over? Why don't y'all just come on over to the YouTube channel? Click like on the joint. Come on. Come subscribe. Hit that little bell icon next to the subscribe button so you can be a part of the notification nation and be informed every time BTP goes live and do his thing and drop his dynamic content. Y'all know y'all love us. Come show us some love on the YouTube channel. But let me play this. Let's play this. Make sure this is turned up.
To the 50 Afrikaners who fled to the US, calling themselves refugees, you are not refugees. You are just a case study of white flight dressed up as martyrdom. You're not escaping violence, you're escaping equality. South Africa didn't chase you away. You ran. Yes, South Africa is one of the most violent countries in the world. Yes, brutality exists. But let's be honest, violence affects all communities, not just white farmers. Black, colored, Indian, and yes, white people are all targets of a national crime crisis. What we have is a breakdown in safety, not a white genocide. This is not ethnic cleansing, it's criminal collapse, and running to the US won't fix it. You are part of a 7% minority, but somehow still manages to control over 70% of the wealth. That is not persecution, that's privilege on a guilt trip. And let's be real, if we tried to relocate just half of the Afrikaans population, it would take decades, billions in logistics, and you'd still end up culturally homeless in a country that don't want your apartheid baggage. You're not brave, you're not victims. You're scared of a world where you don't get to be in charge, and that makes the rest of the Afrikaans community cringe because you make us look weak. South Africa is broken, and it's our problem to solve. So if you don't have the spine to do so, stay gone.
Ooh, I want to play that again, Josh, because I've seen this. I was just checking everything out while you was doing your breakdown, and that was powerful, right? This dude is calling these people cowards, 7%, and you own everything, and you're just mad now because you can't control nothing. Josh, they putting them in Alabama, right?
Oh, wow.
Yep.
I don't like that at all. I hate
this. This is what I'm hearing. This is what I'm saying. Right? When I'm talking about be the power, when I'm talking about the Back South strategy, like when I'm talking about all of these different elements, man.
They're hearing.
Like we gotta
They're
really
listening. They put them in the South on purpose because of the Back South strategy, trying to counter the Back South strategy.
But this is I wish I had the book in front of me. Where's my book? I know it's in the living room. But this is the same thing they did back in the days, Josh. When they came up with the Mississippi plan, a part of the plan was to bring foreigners and northern whites to the South. This was a part of their plan. We're reliving this thing all over again. So the people that spend their time trying to fight us on the X app, Alabama needs us. Alabama needs us now because it seems like these people are trying to be given some people to lord over. And we have to make sure that our people in Alabama are politically sound and not bit by the vampires of liberalism.
So basically,
the movement that's rising right now.
So basically, you were saying in that source that you were citing how that happened back in the day. You were talking about how when they brought some white folks over, I think it was from South Africa. It was from somewhere I can't remember. But when they started bringing
South Africa,
they were bringing it from the north.
But
basically, they would rather have white folks working if they got to pay somebody.
Oh yeah, that's a fact. That's a fact.
They don't want to pay us,
And in this situation, they want these people because there's already complaints about Afrikaners in, I don't think it's Alabama. I think
Louisiana.
It's Mississippi or I can't remember where. But if it's Louisiana, there's already complaints about the very thing that we're talking about. And so we got to politically galvanize right now. I ain't got time to help people build their failing pillow businesses. We don't have time for that. Our people in the South need us. They need us. I want to play this again, Josh, because I thought this was powerful. This was powerful.
To the 50 Afrikaners who fled to the US, calling themselves refugees, you are not refugees. You are just a case study of white flight dressed up as martyrdom. You're not escaping violence. You're escaping equality.
You're not escaping violence. You're escaping equality. You're escaping a level playing field. You believe that by coming, and because this is Elon Musk's belief, that by coming to America, you can now become lords over the low blacks, especially the ones in Alabama and Mississippi, etc., etc. No, that is not going to happen. That is the culture is going to fight against this. And this is why our messaging is so very important in this state, in this space. And this is why men, my sister Riri, shout out to my sister Riri, but we men over here. We men over here, and we got to lead in this space. And no woman kings going to be able to lead you against what's happening right now because they're just trying to fit into the liberal movement. That's what they're trying to do. And we can't have any of it, the extreme left or the extreme right, hence our position. We are above center. We, the American freedmen, represent the moral fiber of the United States of America. We are the only people, if we're taking race as some real thing, then we are the only people that have never, ever tried to overthrow this government, ever, ever.
South Africa didn't chase you away. You ran. Yes, South Africa is one of the most violent countries in the world. Yes, brutality exists. But let's be honest, violence affects all communities, not just white farmers. Black, colored, Indian, and yes, white people are all targets of a national crime crisis. What we have is a breakdown in safety, not a white genocide. This is not ethnic cleansing, it's criminal collapse, and running to the US won't fix it. You are part of a 7% minority, but somehow still manages to control over 70% of the wealth. That is not persecution, that's privilege on a guilt trip. And let's be real, if we tried to relocate just half of the Afrikaans population, it would take decades, billions in logistics, and you'd still end up culturally homeless in a country that don't want your apartheid baggage. You're not brave, you're not victims. You're scared of a world where you don't get to be in charge, and that makes the rest of the Afrikaans community cringe because you make us look weak. South Africa is broken, and it's our problem to solve. So if you don't have the spine to do so, stay gone.
I love it, Josh. I love it. And there was a guy on here in our chat, white guy. And man, I hope he's still listening. I really hope that this guy's still listening because he's speaking to that guy that was in our chat. He's speaking to him. These people are cowards that's fleeing, not persecution. See, in the delineation movement, we speak about the fleeing of the people, when we going back and forth with the people, that's one of the things you hear, right? You fled your homeland. And a lot of the times it was because of the fact that they were being persecuted. I guess persecuted. All right, what happened to Josh? Being persecuted. And we could look at it from that perspective. We could definitely look at it from that perspective, right? But these people, and for better economic opportunities, right? Come to the U.S. So you hear the Caribbeans and the Africans, we came over here and we are doing much better than you, right? We hear them boasting about the stuff in the space. And that I'm all for going at them people that do that. Just to be clear, I just want to really, really be clear. Those people that do that deserve to get got at. That's a fact. But people are making a career out of this every day. There's a space going at some Africa. Like, I was doing that on Clubhouse in 2020. That's not moving the political needle. Anyway, what this little white dude was just saying was that guys are cowards. You're just running away from the fact that you can't control. These are probably people that were directly affected by that act. And I've not done a deep dive into that act, but in the act that was relayed in the executive order. Matter of fact, the name of that act was the Expropriation Act 13 of 2020. 2024. The Expropriation Act. These people, you came and you lived off the fat of the land for a long, long time. Another people's land. You're from Europe. You people are Europeans. And you colonized this place and you took over. And 7% of you control 70% of the wealth and the resources there. And those of you that came over here were probably the ones affected by this act. And now, all of a sudden, you feel oppressed. You feel, nah, you don't get to do that. This should be challenged. This needs a strict scrutiny review. And if it's upheld, well, then everything that we are fighting for when we speak about remedial justice has to come to fruition. And that's why I say, I think Trump gave us the blueprint. That's my personal opinion. Said you can't use race. This is an executive order talking about race. Could you imagine Barack Obama bringing a bunch of Kenyans over who were being racially subjugated by whites in Kenya? Oh man, they would be killing this dude. The courts would be filled up. Fox News would be going crazy. Hannity's face would be pink, flushed with blood every single night, and anger and disgust had Barack Obama done something like that. Okay, well, if they uphold that, Josh, how are you going to fight us? Because now I have precedent. I have some precedent now. I see things differently. That's what I voted for. That's what I voted for. So it is what it is. You got something to say to that, Josh?
Well, yeah, I'll just say that it's dirty. It's dirty, but as much as we talk about delineation, I saw some interesting comments in the chat. And one thing I'll say, and maybe you had a different experience, but just from my memory, when I'm listening to or when I'm in spaces or when I'm paying attention to comments, I noticed that the South Africans, they don't be the ones giving us a whole lot of opposition. A lot of times, out of all the other immigrant groups, they'll be rocking with opposition. They're like, yeah,
That's right. I said that. I said that earlier.
Okay.
That's right. I said that earlier. That's right.
They understand the purposes of what we're doing. They understand delineation. And in general, I think a lot of them just remember that when they were dealing with apartheid like that, the freedmen, we didn't have to. We were in America, but we could relate to that plight, and we supported them. But I think a lot of them understand it. A lot of them see what's happening. I saw some interesting comment in the chat too. Somebody was talking about how they're trying to, we're dealing with tribalism over here. That's what they're saying in South Africa. But the new government is trying to fold everything in and erase tribalism and bring everybody together under communism. So it's like erasing the different cultures. I thought that's interesting. I'm not sure. I don't really like the idea of erasing, various cultures, but and I'm not sure how that economic system is going to work and help them thrive. And how it's not going to, we already have a huge problem of corruption. When I say I'm saying I know we do in America, but in the African countries, definitely. So I don't, in the communist system, you see the government be the epitome of the corruption. They're the central hub of all the corruption. So I don't know how that's going to go, but it's an interesting project to watch. Interesting project to watch. But hey man, I'm for justice. I'm for justice. And this thing, when I see these people running over to trying to run to America, you know, and I don't like looking at things through the racial lens. But don't cry about you. You don't cry about you a victim. You control the resources, you know, and you've been controlling things and doing terrible things over in South Africa for generations. Now you're like, hey, well, shoot, I got a better life as a white person in America now than I do in South Africa, because I'm used to living like a king, used to living like a elevated lifestyle in South Africa just because I'm white. Now they flipping that thing. So let me get out and get to America where I got more of an advantage. It really speaks more volumes to the idea and understanding of what the perception of whiteness is around the world and what America represents for whiteness. That a South African racist Afrikaner will say, hey, I would rather come to America than South Africa. You know, that's crazy, right?
That's crazy. That's
I would
crazy.
I think whiteness holds more weight in America. I'd rather start at the bottom as an immigrant in America than be white in South Africa. Damn, that's wild. What
That's
that
wild.
means.
That's wild. I was breaking some of that down earlier as well, man. It's crazy. It is crazy, but this is where we're at. We got Afrikaners coming over to the United States of America, and they are becoming citizens, and it should be challenged.
So what does that mean for the freedmen as you know, how the perception is? If you would rather come over instead of being a beneficiary of, you know, generations of oppression and a system where all the resources are held by a small minority of people in the country. See, in America, white folks are what, 65? I don't know if 70%. I can't remember the population count. 50s. They're the majority. I know it's in the 50 to 60 something percent. But they control what, 90% of the resources or something like that. When I'm talking about wealth. And you know, most of those, or a lot of those people have been in America for multiple generations. Not all of them came from, you know, were descendants of slave owners. Some of them came as Ellis Island immigrants and all that. But regardless, they're not having the impediment of having to stay in slavery on you or being associated with that via being a member of the white race. It didn't have that impediment on you that will hold you back like that. So you were able to capitalize on that benefit and being in America. Well, so it's like, yo, in the 21st century, that's crazy that still happens. That's still a thing. In South Africa, you're only 7% and you control what you said, 70-something percent of the resources.
70%. Yep.
And now you want to come to America and be an immigrant, and damn, that speaks volumes of where we at in America. So that means you see your position. You know, America's always been the land of the lowest white man is higher than the highest black man. And, you know, I know it's 2025 and we feel a different way. You know, it's not the same America as the 1925 or 1965 or whatever the case may be. But you look at the numbers and you see that a lot of the numbers really haven't shifted like that. So the vast majority of us, that the splits is looking about the same. Like, well, where our wealth is at and where most of people that classified as white wealth is at is the split is the same, or has it actually gotten even wider? You know, so I guess those South Africans like, hey, I'll take my chances over here in America. I got a better shot. Interesting, man.
Definitely interesting. All right, we're gonna start winding this thing down, man. We going on 3 hours right now, and I wanted to. I gave a recap on the South African part of it, and we were able to go back and touch on some of what was discussed earlier. The other part, Josh, was the delineation movement, and I was breaking down just how harmful it has become. It's grown many heads, and each of the head, and I've used this image. Let me put that back up. I'll use this image to show, all right, because this is the thumbnail on YouTube, right? In that bubble, ADOS, FBA, NEGRO, BANF. There's a bunch of others. Those are just the ones that I could think of offhand. And I guess those are the only ones that was able to fit inside the bubble. Pretendians, definitely. But they fall under Black American now. They are trying to weasel their way out of the fact that they lied about being Indians and indigenous people and natives and are Black Americans now. So this is why they keep pushing for Black American to be an ethnic group. And they can't prove it. It's a racial classification in the United States of America. You could socially identify the way you want to. I can socially identify as a Moorish American. That doesn't mean that it's something that's recognized in the United States of America in the way that I would want it to be if I'm utilizing it that way.
Excuse me.
Bless you. It's not just making up stuff. And I spoke about just some of the nonsensical claims that many of these people are making and how it has hurt the movement. I spoke about European solidarity and why we can't seem to get the same type of solidarity. I spoke about Trump being the descendant of Ellis Island immigrants, if they came from Ellis Island. That's right, from Germany. Now, there's a possibility they didn't come through Ellis Island. It's a possibility.
I don't know. They were in New York. I don't know. They had to.
I don't know. Me and Ali was on the phone yesterday, and we were looking up white people, Europeans that came to this country. And not all of these people were here legally. And then those that were turned away, the whites that were controlling the ports of entry, and if they could come in or not, would tell them, go to Canada. Go through Canada and come through and that's why I showed a heat map of the German Americans in the United States, and they're largely concentrated in the Midwest. Oh yeah. So, this is something to think about, man. This is something to think about. You have the delineation movement that has turned into this movement that I don't know, man. It's just I don't rock with none of these people. I personally don't rock with these people. I just don't. And what are they doing to move the needle politically? I don't have to rock with them. They don't care if I rock with them or not. And I don't care if they don't rock with me. I'll tell them all to kick rocks. Every last one of them means nothing. But are you moving the needle forward for our people? Because that's the main question. No, they're not. It's talking a bunch of nonsense, man. A lot of this stuff is just news of the day, the news cycle mixed in with pretending nonsense. We were already here. No, you wasn't. You weren't nowhere. Your ancestors weren't already here, or else you would be able to trace them back to those original people, and you can't. You could only talk about what the scholars said about those people.
A lot of these people are making these claims. You talk to their mama, their cousin, or somebody like that, they might be talking the same stuff we talking about. They did their genealogy and they finding Freedmen and all that. But then these people hyped up on the pretendian mythology and they saying something different. And as much as we like to say, we're talking about these fools, I also want to recognize and shout out the people that are actually out here
That's right.
still fighting, still doing things in a way that's conducive to getting progress for us and to understand what the origin of the delineation is came from and what's the main goal behind it, and that is to and I'm sure you already broke it down, but essentially, like, we have to have a way to not be identified by race, but what unites us and what is the commonality that we share. And what I mean by we is the group whose ancestors were emancipated from slavery and fought in all these wars and endured all these hells in America to produce, us today, the survivors, those people that are still fighting here. And, we're owed a debt for the damages that our families endured through these government policies. That's who we are. And so when we have to delineate for these purposes, but people who, when we say we're talking about those families. We need to say, hey, do you come from these families? Oh, you don't? Okay, then that we can draw a line there. Now,
right.
if you wanna have some type of alliance based on some other terms, that's a totally different thing. If we agree on certain political issues, that's a totally different thing. But but for the purposes of reparations and specific policy for our families, for the damages and the hells that we went through, we have to draw the line and say that's where ours is in the same way where we don't go to other countries and be like, hey, we want some land over here. We want government resources over here. Government, colonial powers owes us for something over here. We don't do that.
This is funny. Rob's Gone Sailing said, thank you for helping us, Boas, President Trump. There are different stages of genocide. A genocide is on the boil. Should we wait until they kill us before we call it a genocide? Like, this is what we're talking about with these snowflakes. These people are snowflakes. This is what the guy said in the video we just played. You people are not victims. You people are not going to get genocided. See, it's the fear of retaliation that motivates a lot of their own fears because they know that they have a history of wronging people. They have a history of wronging people, whether it's here or in South Africa. All right? There's different stages of a genocide. So are you saying that one day the Africans that are there are going to launch missiles from their own, what is it called? Iron Dome, from behind their Iron Dome and start bombing you out of existence the way the Israelis are doing the people of Palestine right now? What do you mean there's different stages of a genocide? Because I can tell you the different stages of genocide in the American context because my people went through it. So much so that they found new ways to exterminate us by making us poor, then telling us you won't be able to afford that baby. Why don't you just get rid of it? And causing millions of our babies, 20 million. That was the 2015 number. I don't even know what the 2025 number is 10 years later. 20 million of our babies to be aborted by the intentional impoverishing, I don't know if that's a word, but it's going to be one for my statement right now, impoverishing of a people. We can tell you about the different stages of genocide and how that looks and how it feels. You know what else is another stage of genocide? Rob's Gone Sailing. bringing Boers over here who have a history of being racist towards Africans and placing them in a state like Alabama where there's racists, where racist devils are who wish things were still like the antebellum South. That's a stage of genocide, Rob. I don't know what you thought your troll was gonna work over here. He said, look, he said you got a chip on your shoulder, Buffalo Soldier. Laugh out loud, toxic rap culture distorted your psychology. First and foremost,
You don't know nothing about America, dude.
but hold on. Buffalo Soldier is a comment. That's a comment. Because if it wasn't for the freedmen soldiers in general, the war against the racist devils of the South would have been lost. And we would be living in the Confederate States of America. And this would just be like a more violent version of Europe where whites would just be killing up other whites. That's just what would be happening over here because they would have the firepower to do so. So thanks to my ancestors who fought in the war to free themselves and their kith and kindred, toxic rap culture distorted your psychology. I was born when hip hop started. So my rap culture is not toxic at all. My rap culture is positive, it's uplifting, it's grooving. It is the type of thing that could rout out a devil. My rap culture. You don't know what you're talking about. Now, I don't know what type of musical culture you have. You probably drink real blood out of a chalice or something, but no, my psychology is intact. We know the devil that we're dealing with. You obviously have us confused. Look what he said. Stolen from shithole Africa and brought to the land of the free. How lucky you are, Buffalo Soldiers. This guy's a clown, right? He's a clear clown because he doesn't know that this wasn't the land of the free when the Europeans here, the racist devils, decided that they were going to enslave other people. This was the land of enslavement. That's exactly
look at the mentality of the people that's being imported to America.
That's
so
right.
America is importing hateful devils from racist apartheid South Africa to come over here and add further toxicity to the American culture. We don't need that. You don't need that. You come into a new country. Come over here and be peaceful and not be hateful. Don't come over here and be a goddamn devil.
Because the stuff you might have gotten away with over there, boy, you won't get away with over here. You'll get your ass beat over here, and that's a fact. I guess we could curse now. We after the couple hours, you will get fucked up over here, and that's a fact. That's a fact. So
go ahead.
Oh, he says stolen from shithole Africa. I don't know if he knows how Europe was at that time. I don't know if this guy knows about the Moors that built up the major portions of Europe, that Iberian Peninsula region, that region of Spain. And I don't know if this guy knows that. The rest of Europe was a swamp. These people were living, that's why the Black Plague took root. From some sources, it was the Moors that helped bring remedies to these people who are dying over there. They didn't know how to take care of themselves. When we took over Europe, we had libraries. It was said that peasants had libraries in their homes while the average European, including the king, could not read. Only their clergy were literate. I don't know
what's crazy?
Yeah, I was talking about.
This dude said, "I love you. I just don't love your victimhood." You come into America on a crocodile tear refugee claim, and you talking about somebody else as a victim.
These people crying that they're victims. This is how the devil's mind works. John 8:44. This is the mind of the devil that they are claiming. I just read Trump's executive order. These people are not being persecuted at all, but they're claiming to be victims of persecution. And this guy tells you, I love you, I just don't love your victimhood. Ludicrous. I don't know if he means the rapper or if he really means Ludacris. But let's get to this one. Blacks sold their own people as slaves.
To who?
Now, this is a common claim made by white, and we spell white W-H-I-G-T, right? A common claim made by
W-I-G-H-T.
I mean, W-I-G-H-T. I just typed it and realized I said it wrong. Right? This common claim made by these devils. And I got to call them the devils because their own Christian book, and he says he's a happy evangelical Christian, I guess. I'm not
surprise there.
Yeah, right. But his own book says, ye are of your father, the devil. This is Jesus, and I'm guessing he's talking to them. Ye are of your father, the devil. The works of your father ye do. He was a liar and a murderer from the beginning. This is what your book says. And every time one of you devils lie, you prove John 8:44 to be speaking exactly about you. So keep going. Okay, let's see. What else did he say?
And this is 2025. We don't have to keep putting disclaimers and clarify, just because.
Well, he called me Tupac.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Rappaport called me Tupac. Like you,
Stop taking it all personal. We could be friends. Well, look. I don't understand what the issue is when we're saying, don't come over here with that apartheid mentality and putting it on us. You're coming over here with that apartheid mentality. We know what the game is. I don't care if you feel like you need to support Trump or if you need to support your boy Elon or whoever you need to, so you can have a legitimacy in coming over here and you get to come to America. But whatever the case may be, that doesn't mean you still need to get with that program of, the American way, which is hatred towards the American freedmen, and I know you're familiar with that type of mentality of hating on people of African descent, but you coming over here with that, you need to leave that back home. You need to leave that back home because
y'all get
we don't need that over here. I know you're not going to. But you need to. So we don't need to be friends. We just need you to not be hateful.
He said he's African American. He doesn't hate. He called him. He said, "Stop taking it so personal, Tupac." He's a hater. You gotta, the hater is what the hater is. But this is what we got to deal with. And somebody just sent me a post. I don't want to. Let me see, because I don't want to. So this is somebody just sent me this, right? And we're talking about the delineation movement. So I'm gonna give a relevant cornball some airtime real quick, but only to make a point, right? So this is this guy right here. I don't need to call his name. So while we're talking about the Afrikaners or the apartheiders, you have this guy. We don't know what this guy's lineage is at all. We just don't. We don't know what this guy's lineage is. He just makes these trolling posts, but the infiltration of Black American grassroots by self-identifiers, and I don't know if CH means club, he's one of the infiltrators. This guy came out of nowhere, claiming to be Nation of Islam, then claiming to be an Indian, aka a pretender. This guy right here is the problem. And he claims to be one of the leaders of the delineation movement, which is why I said what I said. The delineation movement is hurting us because you got clowns like this that ain't on nothing. He's not putting in no political work for our people whatsoever. He gets on the app all day and just talks about other men, real feminine like energy. I don't know where they build these types of dudes at, but I'm not cut from that cloth. I'm not cut from that cloth. These I'm standing on paperwork clowns. And it's crazy. I gotta stop addressing the devil in the chat to address a devil from among our own, if he's even a freedman. Because I don't know what this guy's background. I don't be knowing what these people's backgrounds are. They just get on this app and cause a bunch of confusion. He said engagement isn't trolling. I'm more African than Oprah. Laugh out loud. I have a sense of humor. Don't be so resentful, Biggie. I bet you your wife would call me that. She keep calling me Big, but my name Naheem. I bet you your wife. I'm trolling with you. I'm just saying. I'm trolling with you. So I'm having as much fun as you're having, white guy. I'm having as much fun as you're having. So yeah, man. So it is what it is. It is what it is. We gotta deal with what we gotta deal with. But you got anything you want to share, Josh, before we get up out of here? I don't feel like going back and forth with this troll in the chat, but y'all let him troll. Let him say what he gonna say. I'll address him if we need to address him.
Yeah, I mean, hey, it just shows that if you get certain people in power, they're gonna carry out certain agendas to go help certain people. It's just our problem is we haven't gotten those people in position in power, and obviously we don't have the numbers. But we're never in a position where our position is never that we want to institute an apartheid in our favor. When we get in power, we just want what we're owed. We want what our owed. We want justice. And so from that standpoint, I can relate to the South Africans, not the Afrikaners. I'm talking about the indigenous South Africans.
That's right. Real South Africans.
That's right. And if the Afrikaners, or whatever they want to call themselves, if they actually want to have peace, if they actually want to not be burnt and all this kind of stuff, if they want to escape the fear of that, maybe they should try to do justice and equality and stop trying to weasel out of that and maintain that system inequality. And if it means that you got to give up something, if it means you got to give up more lands, if it means it has to be not fair, hey, I mean, look, either you want a just and equal society or you don't. It's not always going to be where, hey, I'm entitled to having more than you because the people before me, did some injustice to you because we had guns and we had power and we had a foreign government backing us and all this kind of stuff. No. If you want to have a just and equitable society where you feel like you can live in peace, you don't have to worry about somebody coming to get because they're hungry and it's terrible inequality. I saw statistics. The unemployment rate for Black South Africans is like 46%, and the unemployment for white folks South Africa is like 9%. So we're talking about 5 times the level of unemployment, and when that's unemployment, we're not talking about business equity, land ownership, and all this type of stuff. Whereas people are making money from not employment but employing other people. Or owning real estate, owning housing, and all this kind of stuff. If you want to live in peace and not live in fear behind that, maybe you should invest more in having a fair and maybe you should do reparations over there. Maybe you should do reparations, and that's until you do that. Yeah, I would imagine that people are gonna be mad as hell. That people are gonna be like, "Hold up, man! You did our families dirty, and we're paying the price, and it shouldn't be like this." So, and I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about as an individual, because obviously there's individual accountability that needs to be had, and in America, people say, "Well, you were never slave. I'm talking to us, freedmen. You were never slave, and my people never owned any slaves. So why am I accountable? Well, for those people who are new immigrants, obviously they benefited off of what we call whiteness in America. But for those people who families been here and have participated or supported or didn't do enough to combat that, yeah, I mean, you voted for people and were part of a government that facilitated that. Hey, it is what it is. It's not a matter of personal guilt. It's a matter of public responsibility, national responsibility. So I'll say that's the same thing for South Africa. You can have personal guilt and people can feel outraged towards individuals and towards racial groups. But until the government recognizes it as a matter of national responsibility, then and takes action on that, then you're gonna live like that. See, the issue is in America, the majority of the people that run in the government are white folks, and a lot of those people, and we've seen articles that directly tie people in Congress today to slave owners in American history.
Yeah, let me jump in, Josh. I'm
Go
sorry, I gotta jump, and I'm ready to get off here too, as well. But I want to jump in. Every country where blacks rule, the people suffer. You can overcome your failure as a collective through repentance. I'm guessing he means through the white church and letting go of victimhood. So the people from South Africa who are not victims, they're playing victims. They can claim victimhood all they want. See, this is a tactic, one of the psychological tactics of the devil. This is what they do. But he says he's only trolling, and I'm just trolling with them. But in that, we're going to still present the facts. So what are the 10 poorest states in the United States of America? I want to focus on states like New York, Tennessee, Alabama, Mississippi, and Louisiana. These are ran by white people. These states are ran by whites. Point blank, period. The majority of the United States government is ran by white people. And if a portion of the citizenry is failing and another portion is thriving, then it's not the citizens. It's something else that's driving it. Just like in South Africa, where 7% of those Europeans there control 70% of the wealth and resources there. So you can make it a racial issue all you want, but I can simply refute you with the fact. I can look at my own country. If you think about it, why are there poor blacks anywhere in the country? Are you saying that we're lazy? Are you saying that we don't want to work? What are you really saying? Because we know the history of this country. We know for a fact what this country has done to our people, and we're never going to stop talking about that. We're going to always bring that up. We're going to always bring that up. So black people are suffering in a country that's being ruled by whites right now. You're looking at it. And I'm willing to bet in all of those places, New Mexico, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Kentucky, and well, not Puerto Rico, obviously. I'm willing to bet that a large portion of that percentage are black folks. I'm willing to bet that. I'm willing to put this in one of the chat GPTs or my Claude and say, run these numbers and then break down which percentage of those poor people are black folks. That's government failure. That's government failure because black people rule in those African countries that are suffering. But in this country that's largely ran by white folks, the majority of the government is white folks, we're still suffering. So we can overcome our failure as a collective through repentance. No, we can overcome the failure that the United States of America caused on us, not through repentance, but through exercising our First Amendment right to petition this government for a redress of our grievances. Victimhood? Do you mean the same victimhood that they're using to bring, this administration is using to bring Afrikaners, apartheiders over here to the United States of America? See, look, he got to keep it there. He got to keep it there. No more whites. He can't come back here, right? No more whites in power in Africa. Hardly any, but 7% of the people control 70% of the resources in South Africa. He said they took it all. What more should they have? Blacks wanted revenge, not reconciliation. Rap culture turns you to collective. Yo, Rob's going sailing. I'm willing to stream again tomorrow night if you'll come on and have this debate with me and make these same arguments. I'm willing. Let me know if you're willing to come on to, because I like cooking people in person. Matter of fact, I'll rap the bars to you, being that you keep taking shots at hip hop. I'll do it to you in rhyme. Cook you up real easy. So let me know in the chat if you'll come on tomorrow. Rob's going sailing. I want you to prove your points. Don't be a coward like the apartheiders fleeing from South Africa because they can't rule with an iron fist no more. Come on this platform tomorrow night and prove your point. I'm waiting for some confirmation in the chat. I know it's a delay, but it ain't that much of a delay. No, nothing. See, these people are cowards, man. These people are cowards. Cowards. Just trolls. That's all they do is troll and lie. All right, Josh, I'm getting up out of here, bro. Shout out to everybody that's watching in. We got over 200 people watching live on X. I would really, really like for y'all to come on the YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button, hit the little bell icon next to the subscribe button. Shout out to my BTP family, United Sons and Daughters of Freeman. My sister Isla is in the building. Shout out Sister BTP, Riri, BTP, Shanna, and everybody that participated in the live discussion. Everybody that's watching. He said, "How do I reach you to connect and confirm a time about?" Can I put? Yeah, I should be able. BTP livecast at gmail.com. There you go. BTP livecast at gmail.com. Send me an email. I'll have you on tomorrow. I'll cook you in rhyme. I'll cook you in rhyme. Being that you keep trying to take shots at hip hop as if heavy metal is demonic music. When I was growing up, the white boys used to brag about how some of their favorite heavy metal musicians would bite the heads off of bats and puppies and snakes on stage during live performances. You got some nerve, Rob. I'm gonna cook you. You make sure you send that email, Rob. You make sure you send that email. You're gonna get cooked. And I'm gonna enjoy every bit of it. I'm gonna enjoy every bit of it. Oh man.
Oh, man. All right, bro.
All right, bro. You already know what time it is. Hey, yo, shout out to everybody again that watched tonight. That interview, I know we keep saying it, but we just working on it and working on other things. That interview with the rapper Jalil from Houdini is coming soon. He said he looked forward to the barbecue. Yes, we will be roasting pig tomorrow night. Yes, I'm glad you look forward to it. But we're gonna start featuring the legends on our live stream. We're talking to some hip hop legends right now, some legends, and we want to mix that in with the people that founded hip hop because they don't get enough light. And although we brought Brother FaZe on our platform twice, we want to make sure that we feature brothers like that. We want to make sure we're featuring the people that were there in the beginning. So we're going to be reaching out to a lot of the old school hip hoppers. A lot of the old school hip hoppers. Yeah, man, Rob. Hey, Rob, y'all can't troll better than us. Y'all can't crack. We called it cracking in New York and snapping. Y'all can't crack or snap better than us. You just can't. And like my sister Shannon said, don't bring that potato salad with the raisins because we don't eat that over here. We throw that in the garbage. Don't bring that potato salad with the raisins, Rob.
Man, I don't know. I don't know what they be eating in South Africa, man. It's probably something wild. Something wild.
Yeah. I don't know. Who knows? They probably eat wild boar, right? There's boars that eat boar. He said, is it wise to build your entire foundation on hip hop? Our foundation is built on American freedmanism, the fight and the plight of our ancestors here in this country. Hip hop is but a subculture of American freedman culture. What do you mean?
Yeah.
Is it wise to build?
Talking about a culture of freedom fighting, resilience, and
that's right.
Family. That's what we talking about.
That's what we talking about. I don't know what you talk about, Rob. But yeah, man, send that email, Rob. I'd love to have you on tomorrow. We could go snap for snap. We could do that. Remember that scene in what was that? Do the Right Thing. I actually thought the white dude part was the funniest, to be honest with you. He was like, you 360-degree basketball dunking. I thought his part was the funniest. Yeah, maybe he could be that funny, Josh. My man Rob. All right, man, let's get up out of here. Hey, yo, I'll leave you all with the motto of the platform, and that is don't just fight the power, become the power. And then and only then will you have the power to make a change. With that, I'll say peace.